Hello and welcome back to Lorehammer. My name is Eric.
Names are irrelevant when it comes to Nids.
That's actually not true. You know there are named characters within the Nids.
That's just what we decide to give them. Oh, well, okay, fine. My Imperium name is Mark.
There we go.
That's
his designation.
My Imperial designation is Mark.
Yeah.
I suppose then my Imperial designation is also Mark. This is Jordan.
And joining us for the first time is John. Hello, John.
Hello.
How you doing?
Doing pretty good.
That's good. Let's before we get into the meat, let's just do it really quickly. John, what draws you to our topic today, which just happens to be the Tyranids?
Well, I got into the hobby when I was probably 13. Younger, I think. I think I was even 8 years old because I had some friends who showed some original Space Marine models to me. Tim, you guys remember talking to him with, so I was able to see some of the Space Marines before I even knew what they were, and then I started to collect.
Yeah, because you like me and Tim, we all started off as Lord of the Rings guys.
Yeah.
We're still Lord of the Rings guys.
Oh my gosh.
But me and John actually met in a Games Workshop without even knowing each other.
Yeah.
But then we end up going to school together or something like that. But
yeah, it was I think the summer of before I went to school.
But yeah, we were all playing Lord of the Rings back then.
Yeah, we had Gondor and I had the Urkai and
losers.
Whatever best franchise out there. Anyways, so minus the Hobbit personally, but anyways, it was just total world that opened up to me, and I always was interested in bug type colony things when I was a kid. There was a Lego set called the Insectoids that came out when I was 6, and I loved that Lego set. And I was also into Starship Troopers, so I loved the whole universe of the alien invasion, the bugs taking over. So when I got exposed to the Tyranids, I was instantly oh, this is sweet.
It's kind of a natural transition.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you're just this massive
just the transition he's making right now.
But that one's
we always knew it was coming.
It's an emotional transition.
It is an emotional transition. My DNA
might say I'm a gene stealer.
Yeah.
Shall we refer to you as Z or Zer?
They.
Oh, they. Okay.
I prefer they.
Because the hive mind.
I prefer they.
Right. No, it's a gestalt.
Yes.
Yeah.
I prefer they. Thanks. But that's kind of how I started collecting. So from then on, and just hoarded
piece by piece.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you like real life insects and stuff too? Do you find them
I do. I grew up a little bit in Mexico when I was younger, right? So we would be out and about, I'd find scorpions or black widows or all sorts of bugs out there and such. So I was always kind of interested in how that all worked.
Yeah.
I mean, I was never obsessed, there's some people that are oh, I'm going to collect every bug out there, and it's interesting for sure, but I'm not.
Yeah. No, that's interesting to know.
Yeah. So that was definitely something I was always interested in, the black widows and the scorpions. I thought they were all kind of cool, but they were definitely scary when I was younger because you get pricked by one of those, you're in trouble.
When you're reading a school textbook and whatever, you flip the page and you try not to touch the picture of the bug, try to avoid it.
No,
just me.
I don't care.
I think that's just you.
Yeah, I think that's you, man.
Okay.
No.
Well, if you wanted GW to add or change, if there's something you could change about the Tyranids, what would it be?
I think what would be really, really cool if they included in their box sets were terrain or things that would help the army, when you field it. For instance, I think of when a Tyranid invasion is happening, you have these crazy growths or these...
capillary towers.
Exactly, right?
Yeah, no, that actually would be cool.
Yeah, because then you could just kind of put it down when you're invading and make it look like you're actually taking over the board.
I know me and Christian have talked about this a lot because we're actually just starting to make or buy new terrain boards, and we've been talking about so what would an Eldar themed board look like? And they have released Tau, they've released some battlements for Tau and stuff, but mostly we only see Imperial stuff. But yeah, it would be sweet if they started selling capillary towers or remember
spawning pools.
I could have swore I've seen capillary towers before.
They're usually all homemade, out of styrofoam.
Yeah, people will make them inevitably, but it would be nice if it came with a box set. You know what I mean? Yeah,
and the Battle of McCraig, they had those little circle holes, burrows almost.
Yeah, they were the I think they were supposed to be the spawning pools.
Oh, tunnel worms.
Tunnel worms. Yeah, I think there's something like that. I can't remember.
Thing.
This is
what?
Yeah, are you talking Tyranids emerge from these holes?
I believe so. Yeah. They do.
Yeah, so like they have like a tunnel on the ship, like a worm on the ship, like the maw of the worm, and then the inside of the worm goes into the warp, and then it emerges from somewhere else,
I've
and they
heard
can
this.
go into the worm there.
that's how
I've
they
never
would-
heard of that before.
Yeah, well, that's
It's
how they
normally
would-
only used for like ship to ship stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like some people like they get in the worm and then the worm like understands it's not Tyranid and like digests it. But then sometimes like if it's in armor,
Yeah.
like it can't digest it, so it'll seal it off in one of its sacs, and then it like gets ejected out of the worm like potentially hundreds of years later.
No way.
Yeah, so
That's wild.
they've found like armored bodies just in these like massive Tyranid sacs.
That's pretty interesting. Yeah, so that's what those would be. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see like, you get like a slimy or like something that's like growing
Yeah.
on the board that you can kind of place and be like, well, I'm taking that territory over or something.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
And
Just
then-
Or at
nice
least
to
just
talk.
for like fun,
Exactly,
just
yeah.
to like add to the theater of the,
Of the fact that you're
fight.
being invaded and everything you love is being stripped away from you.
Right, exactly. Slowly but surely. Not even slowly. Max 2 months.
It's true. Yeah, yeah. Quite quickly, actually.
Okay. Man, that's cool.
And for the final question, after 10 years, when will you actually learn how to play the game? And I just want to say that's not my question. That's
So,
Mark's.
That's fair. That's a fair criticism. So, for those of you who don't know, like I would read the codex and try to figure out the rules and stuff. I mainly got in because of the hobby part, right? Like when in the beginning I was
They look
painting,
cool. Yeah.
I was into that whole part of it. Then I started doing the gaming, which was fun, but I definitely
it's
wasn't
never been
as
like
diligent.
the focus.
Yeah, I definitely was never as diligent as up until this new edition, which I'm excited to get the new 8th edition codex. But yes, I definitely. Hey, mind you, though, there were some dirty moves pulled when we were younger by Mark and others.
It's called Mark
where,
rules.
where you would just be
What?
like questioning a move or like a situation,
And then I'll pull out
and
the
we would
rule
find
book
out
and then
later
it'd
on
be
and be
like-
like, oh, that was completely opposite of what just occurred. And there were many spats about certain things back in the day. But I'll leave that in the past, because we don't want to open up.
Oh, of
wounds.
course. Take the high ground.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Mark,
So
I
screw
forgive you,
you.
Mark. Yeah.
You know what? You guys all suck. If you guys don't want to play by Mark rules, maybe you guys should read the book.
I read the damn book.
Then why are you still playing by Mark rules?
I don't know.
You know better.
I'm only used to Mark rules now. If I were to win, it would be weird.
Maybe Graham's workshop should just switch over to Mark's rules.
Don't give him that power. Don't give him that power.
official.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be bad.
I could think of some good changes.
If this happens, Mark wins.
Anyways, so yes, I have had my faults in the past.
Of course.
Oh no,
Everyone
I'm just
does.
giving
That's
you a
just a
hard time.
joke.
We actually played probably for a while there. Me and Eric, we played a whole bunch.
Yeah.
But I think for Eric, I think I probably played you the most, John. Like,
That's actually true. We had a vicious battles with Tau, lots of Tau fights and lots of Marine fights. And,
yeah, you're definitely probably the most I played. Other than for Eric, there was the one time like, yeah, we
We were
played,
probably playing like 2 or 3 times a week.
yeah, if not more, for like a couple years.
Yeah.
when Eric first got into the hobby, but then
Well, then I abandoned it,
as we all do.
as we all do.
jump
But-
back in and out.
But yeah, definitely I've played the most games with you, John, I think.
That's actually crazy to think about because it's been about 10 plus years
Yeah.
since I played. And I remember just lining up all my Gaunt army, right? And then your hammerheads in the back with your Tau Fire Warriors. And you would just create these lines and obliterate me within like 3 moves. I'm like, this sucks. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I'd had to learn different tactics and I wanted, you have to spend money to get the bigger
Well,
units
and that was
all
the thing
stuff,
too. Back
right?
in the day, I'm a
Yeah.
little older than you, so I
Yeah.
usually had more of a disposable income.
Yeah,
so
yeah. I always kind of bought the box sets that I could. They were the cheaper end. Usually they were the swarms that I just collect. And then,
Yeah.
with the synapse range and stuff, things would fall apart real quick once your warriors are out of the game. So
Then I'm good at Warhammer. That too. Let's
No,
not
you just
never
cheat.
forget
You just
that
cheat.
I'm also actually good at Warhammer.
You just have a herd of goats that you sacrifice.
Yeah. How you become good at Warhammer is irrelevant. However many goats.
Microwaving dice, creating rules for units that don't exist anymore, and then severely lowering their point value to just be what you want and not what actually should be. Mark and I have an ongoing debate of
It's not a debate.
Narlock riders. I think
it's
they're
a fist
worth.
fight. It's gonna be a fist fight.
Well, if people ask me where I got my black eye from, I told them it was fight over Kroot. That's what happened. Okay, well, let's get into another segment. As you heard probably from our last episode, we're going to make some changes in the new year. Not only about the content, because we're going to start deviating from our regular framework that we're doing right now, and we're going to be able to talk about topics we want to talk about.
Yeah, one episode might be about Kroot Narlock riders, and the next one...
And about how they need to be a specific price, and there's logic to it, and it's pretty undeniable.
And then the next episode will be also something that I want to talk about, so then we'll talk about Imperial Knights. And then when we're done talking about them, we'll probably talk about Kroot.
Right.
And then Imperial Knights.
Every other episode is going to be about Kroot.
Or Knights.
Or Knights.
Two.
Wait, so we're only doing Knights or Kroots?
Yeah. So you can pretty much expect that from us from now on.
Right. For that's our 2018 schedule.
Yeah.
Just Knights and Kroots. with the occasional Tau thrown in there.
Yeah.
Like you'll do an entire episode on Firecast. No, the water. The ambassadors.
Well, that's all Kroot need to deal with. That's because they just need to get their payment. Anywho, derailment.
Okay. But so we do have a couple other topics. We did one last week called Rapid Fire, which was fun. But this week we're going to do another one. It'll be really quick. It's called 40K's Not Funny. And in it, we share a 40K joke that normally I just pull from the internet. But the cool thing is, like, if you have a joke and you want to like put on the air, send us an email, because it's super simple and very easy. But here's today's joke. A group of space wolves are standing around a table in a bar shouting 30 days, 30 days, raising toasts and cheering like the emperor has risen again. A salamander comes on by and says, "Brothers, I have heard your chanting and seen you cheering. Why are you chanting 30 days?" One of the space wolves turns to him and says, "Well met, brother. We took on a fearsome task that challenged us all to our limits, and yet we completed it in not but a fraction of the time, in a mere 30 days. Indeed? What mighty task was this?" the salamander asks. Space Wolf says, "That puzzle said 3 to 4 years. We did it in 30 days.
Oh, that's wretched.
That's awful.
Yes.
You're laughing.
That's a bigger joke than Mark Rules.
I thought that was pretty good.
It's humorous. Do you got any other ones?
Yeah, I do, but I'm going to save those.
Oh, okay. Because the internet is lacking on content that you can pull from. you gotta save it up.
I felt like I read them all in like 5 minutes.
Wow.
The whole internet.
Yeah,
Every
everything
40K
Yeah,
joke.
like really, how many people are making 40K jokes?
Right.
You would be surprised that the what's a disparity?
Disparity.
No. I'm trying to make fun of 40K gamer nerds and how you
there's
get
a type.
sucked into it.
There's a type.
There's a type in every hobby, though, right? To the
Never
guys
mind.
that like the only world is that world that they're in. But
Yeah.
40K
I'm
is
that
a
kind of
pretty
guy.
Big world.
Yeah. All right, let's do a quick contest update for our logo. As of yet, we have no posts on it, which is, I don't know, it is what it is. But we have had someone come and contact us and show us a couple ones that he's working on, and we're pretty excited about those.
They're looking pretty good.
Yeah, so if you guys do, and he just hasn't posted it on there yet, but if you do have, if it's something you're working on or you want some suggestions, just give us a shout out. Just send us a message on
and even
Hammer.
if you're not done, send us like what you have working on, and then we'd love to see stuff.
Yeah,
and
we'd
steal
love to
your
offer
stuff.
guidance.
Yeah.
My young Padawan. I just want to touch you.
His touches, his horrible touches.
Yeah, but it's still going on. Our due date is January 1st. That's when it will like fully end, and then we'll either be stuck with our same photo that we always have, or we'll get something new.
So get on board and win $50.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, $50, 50 GW bucks we'll give
Nice.
G-dub bucks.
It'll give you all but 5 pot paints. Woo!
you. Yeah, it's not cheap, that stuff.
Well, I went to the workshop yesterday. I bought some paint, and I was with my wife.
Wait, you didn't even send me a text.
I was with the wife.
I don't. It doesn't even. I don't get it.
Wow.
With who?
My wife.
Oh,
The wife.
you have a wife?
Yeah, 2 of them.
Oh,
One for every day of the week.
There's only
all 2
2
days of
days
the
a
week.
week. Anyways,
I bought 2 paint pots, and then the guy's like, "Oh yeah, that'll be $10." And Cassie's like, "What? Really?" I'm like, yeah, it's not that bad. You buy an ice cap every day. And she's like, oh, I guess. But I don't know. She gave me that look like, really? That much money on paint?
Yeah, they're pretty. I mean, they're
I don't
good
find it
paints.
I don't find it that bad. I've never used. No, actually, I've only used like an entire paint pot once, and it's because I
your
painted.
nights.
10 nights.
10 nights.
So
Purple.
What what happens more often is the paint inside gets ruined.
Yeah.
And you have to throw the paint out.
That's
But
just due
if
to
you
lack of
neglect it, though.
care.
Yeah, like when we were
Yeah,
younger.
no, exactly.
When we were younger, we would leave this because they had screw-on lids. Now they just have the flip caps, and we would leave them like not closed and stuff, and it would dry out real quick.
That'll happen.
It used to be 325 or 425 back in the day too.
Well, it's only like 475 now.
Yeah,
here.
it's not bad.
In Kanata.
Canada.
Republic of Kanakistan.
Yeah, it's really not that bad. I'm going to collect them all.
That's a lot of paint.
I'm going to collect them all.
They're like Pokemon.
Yeah.
Gotta catch them all.
Yeah.
With your wallet. Catch them with your wallet.
Just throw your wallet at it.
I choose
Now,
you.
there's a good
Blood
40K
red.
joke right there.
Yeah.
But
Guess.
throwing your wallet at paints to collect them? No.
Oh my god.
What? Okay, fine.
Uh,
It's good. Yeah.
well, I think let's just dive right in. Yeah, okay. So today we are talking about Tyranids, Nids,
Nids.
Nids. Hive mind, great devourer.
Yeah, lots of different names for them, but it is the
Really only one.
Yep.
Tyranids.
Yeah, but how do you say it? Like Christian literally says Tyranids.
I think it's Tyran, like the moon of tyrants. Tyranids is
Yeah.
how I think you would pronounce
I
it.
have
That kinda makes
seen
sense.
both online. Like there was like a thread where they were arguing
Which
about
is
how
which.
to pronounce it.
Of course there.
But it seems like most people would go Tyranids.
I'm pretty sure it's Tyranids. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've always said Tyranids.
Is that because we've said Tyranids though? or-
I think probably just the people I've been around.
Yeah.
have said Tyranids.
Like
I've said Tyranids,
The
too.
reason I would say Tyranids is because Mark says Tyranids, but
Which
when I
is
logically
not-
think about
It's
it,
Yeah.
Tyranids.
I
yes.
can't actually trust what
No,
Mark says.
I can't read, let alone pronounce
Yeah.
words.
Yeah, Tyranids most likely is correct, but that's not what we're arguing today because that word is just made up and it's not even what they call themselves because
you
we
go.
don't even know if they call themselves anything. Humanity has named them Tyranids because that was the first planet that we know of that they, what's it called? Invaded? Yeah. Devoured, yeah. And it was Tyran.
Yeah.
Tyran.
Yeah. Just take the first part of their name and shorten it to Tyran, and that's the planet. So it's nice and easy to keep track of.
Tyran has two ends.
No, it doesn't.
No, it does not.
You can't read. You don't even know. But let's look at the first contact. It's always super weird to think like how fresh these races are in like the in like the galaxy.
Yeah, like just like when we did the tower, just like when we did the Necron. The Necron especially caught
Yeah.
me. Like,
Even though technically they've been around forever
Yeah.
and there would have been contact on and off, they
Yeah.
don't really start emerging until
Yeah.
like right before.
yeah. And the thing that I think I said last time too, but I might say it again.
Go
just in
for it.
case. But like whenever you're looking at like descriptions of races and stuff, the tower always described as like the young. But
That's
like
true, yeah.
really, like timeline wise, they've been around longer than the Necron.
Yeah.
Essentially, like because the Necron have been in stasis the whole time.
Yeah, that's right.
And they definitely been around longer than the Nids in our galaxy.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I understand why they say the young because, but yeah,
In
but,
the Imperial known universe.
Yeah,
right?
but
From
for
their
all-
For
perspective.
galactic players.
Yeah.
yeah, but for all we know, like the Tau have been around for billions of years as
Yeah.
well. They've just
Yeah.
been plane dwellers,
Yeah.
right? So like,
You can
but
debate
yeah.
that, yeah.
Anyways, I was just like you said, it's interesting to see like,
How fresh everything
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
and we'll get a little more into that in a bit.
Well, the first real contact was 741 M41. So like 250 years before like the current state of the galaxy is the first contact with a full hive fleet.
Yeah.
Now, that isn't to say that Tyranids haven't existed in the galaxy before then, and a lot of this has to go all the way back to the Horus Heresy and the destruction of the Pharaohs. So, who wants to talk about the Pharaohs?
Mark can take it.
Okay, so during the Horus Heresy, the Imperium was split into two, and at one point, Reboot Gilliman, a Primarch.
Oh, this was his Imperial Secundus.
Yeah, he thought the Emperor was dead, so he tried to like create like a second Imperium. Like he wasn't turning traitor or anything. He's just like trying to hold the
Imperium. He's preserving what he had.
Exactly.
So there was this ancient relic that basically functioned as a little like beacon in the warp, and Reboot Gilliman like activated it so he could draw all loyalist forces towards him. And,
Right,
like,
because the
consolidate his power.
Astronomicon went out,
Yeah.
so now he activates this Xenos tech, the Pharos.
Yeah, so he can try to get everyone towards him. Over the course of a battle, like I believe the Night Lords attack him and whatever. They end up destroying this this beacon, but the way they do it is the loyalists like overload it and cause it to explode, killing a bunch of people. But like they deemed it like a notable or worthy to do because it killed a bunch of traitors. But when it exploded, since it's a psychic beacon, it set off this huge, quick flash in the warp. Where
Like a strobe light.
yeah, just like in complete darkness of the warp, like they sent out this huge flash. So it caught the attention of the Nids.
Yeah, who
Which-
were outside our galaxy.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they're just floating around in the void, like they're probably moving from galaxy to galaxy,
Just consuming
however they do it. But then they see this giant flash, and that's when they turn their fleet.
Yeah.
And I believe
So
there
that's
was like
30K.
Yeah.
I believe there was even like a psyker who like when it exploded, he like felt it or something, like felt like the eye, like
The hive mind.
yeah, he felt that something like is coming,
Almost like the attention of the hive mind.
has been shifted.
Right.
I haven't read that book yet, so I don't know exactly how it's worded, but that's pretty much the gist of it.
Now, when you said the eye, you were meaning.
The Eye of Sauron.
Yeah, because we're Lord of the Rings guys.
Clearly.
That's what I figured. Yeah, Sauron makes his appearance. Melkor. They all kind of come together and create the Tyranids. That's exactly how this all works, right? I think that's right.
Well, must be. Sounds right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but so essentially it's like moth to flame, right? So this beacon comes out, and then it's just like this attention in a dark void, and the fleets are now on the way towards the Imperium.
Yeah,
And
me and Eric had a good discussion about that. We'll save it till the end, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm fine with that. So then the reason, like, John, this is something you pointed out as we were planning this, but there actually are, we have found Tyranid things in our galaxy that actually predate the hive fleets. And they go all the way back to potentially M34 or
even earlier, possibly.
because we don't really know a lot about the Tyranids. Everything that we know about the Tyrians is it's just human contact,
Yeah.
right? So humanity has observed the Tyranids, and so that's all we got on them. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of speculation when it comes to it. So we date the first contact with them at 741 M41, but there's no way we haven't had contact with them earlier. Just because of the different things they've found in the galaxy.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe not us, but they've been in our galaxy.
They've been in the galaxy just as the Imperium, as humanity.
Yeah.
They haven't met them until that year, I guess you could say.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, there are 6 distinctive hive fleets, and they comprise like a war party. It's like a massive battle. Like, I would compare it to like a chapter. Like, they're all the same race, but they have like different fleets within this race.
Yeah.
And they function separately, but they still all are slave to the hive mind.
Yeah.
They all still serve the same function and the same purpose. And then there's even splinter fleets.
Yeah.
So do they leave the hive fleet and like become their own? Do they do they get cut off?
It depends. So most often, at least from what I've read, is that they get cut off in battles, or like certain things happen where the hive mind, they go to a planet and they're fighting, they're caught into the warp, and then all of a sudden, or sort of caught into the war of that planet, and then they move on to other things if they get defeated or whatever. And then there's always like remnants left after an invasion, and usually like everything in the planet gets sucked into these biomass pools, and then they take them into the hive fleets and ingest the organic material on the planet. But there have been cases where, for instance, like a Forge world is attacked and they stop most of that from happening. They're able to cut off the ships, and so they move on to other places, and there's like remnants of ships around that disappear behind moons or asteroids or whatever and get away, and then they can kind of collectivize after that and then move on to their unit of feeding the.
But does that, like, my question would be like, do Like, would they not try and rejoin
Yeah,
their hive
I think
fleet?
they ultimately would, but
Yeah, I kind of see it in a different way. Not saying that you're wrong or anything, and not saying I'm right. No, I'm not. Jordan starts giggling. No, but like, so the way they work is like, it's always described as like tendrils or whatever.
Yeah.
So like the main tendril is like hive fleet, behemoth or whatever,
Right.
or whatever the main hive fleet is. But then you got all these separate like feelers, and they would be the splinter fleets. So like, they're still technically a part of behemoth.
Okay.
But since the Imperium has to like classify things, you can't name this entire tendril
right.
Because they're
behemoth.
fighting on so many different fronts
Yeah.
in such different parts
but
of the
like
galaxy.
technically, like they're all kind of the same. And
Okay.
yeah, there are those situations, like John said, where fleets are cut off, and then the Imperium once again would name that fleet whatever.
Because
they name
again,
it.
it's all Imperial classification.
exactly. But like ultimately, like that fleet is still Hive Fleet
Right.
Behemoth.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, and that's why I'm saying you're not wrong or anything.
yeah,
But
okay.
that's kind of how I see it.
Yeah,
like
it's interesting for
it's all the one tendril
Yeah.
of Behemoth.
Yeah.
But like different feelers of that tendril are classified differently by the Imperium.
Would it be kind of like if you had a hand reaching out and each finger was
Yeah,
part of that
exactly.
hand, but
Like your
each-
hand,
yeah.
your hand would be Hive Fleet Behemoth,
Right.
but each finger would be you
Like
got a
names.
splinter fleet of. I can't name any off the top of my head.
Well,
but-
Kraken, right? You've got.
Well, I can't name any Behemoth splinter
Right,
fleets.
right. Sorry,
but
yeah, I know what you're saying. Because
Yeah.
Kraken was one of the main splinter fleets.
Yeah.
Kraken,
So
Behemoth,
that's a good example. I like the hand one where
So it's like you can see like
And,
a
like-
hand reaching into the galaxy kind of thing and
Yeah.
trying to grab whatever it can to feed it. Yeah.
and then your body is Tyranids as a whole, and then your other arm is a different hive fleet. And your
And then
feet
your head-
the head's the hive
Your
mind,
head is going for the
obviously.
eye of terror.
My urine
Yeah.
is its own.
What?
Because it's like
Alright.
spraying everywhere.
So Jordan
All
left the
right,
room
then.
for like 10 seconds, and it comes back in to, and my urine is spraying everywhere.
Just
It happens.
totally
Sometimes you lose
derailed.
control.
What? Okay.
Who has perfect aim?
Just an everyday conversation.
It's an everyday
In the
conversation.
40K universe.
But yeah, so that's
Okay. No, that makes sense. Something else Mark wanted to talk about, and it's a little out of place, but it's worth going into, is the narval.
yeah. So hive fleets are consistent of many different types of ships. Some ships are solely made for reproducing. Some ships are made for like they have like a giant pincer on the front, so they're made for like eating other ships, or you know, some
like,
have
a
huge
hive fleet
biocannons.
consists
like-
of 1.5 billion ships.
Yeah.
yeah, and like they're
So
all
many
very
organisms.
diverse and very much like this one does
Specialized.
this one does
You got
this.
shielders, you've got armored ones that go in and kind of crash in there. You've got assaulters, you've got flyers,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
sorts of things. All
Yeah.
hellish,
And-
evil, like not evil, but hellish things that you see that are just like,
Yeah, and all these are actually Tyranids. Like they don't use any metal of any kind. They're all flesh and
bio,
ichor.
shit and
Yeah.
ichor.
So like
Yeah.
each one of these ships is a Tyranid organism.
That was grown.
That was grown. Yeah. But the one, that Eric mentioned that I find is very unique and makes Tyranids like something different.
And it's
than-
pretty essential.
Yeah, it's
to
very
them.
essential, and it gives Tyranids a different flavor than the rest of the races that we kind of know about. And it's called the narval.
Yeah.
And basically, it's pretty tiny for a Tyranid ship, but it's the way Tyranids do faster than light travel, because they don't travel through the warp, but you still need ways to travel. And the way this works is it has like feelers on it, a bunch of like tendrils and sensors, and it will feel into the void of space or whatever, and it'll find different gravity wells of planets, and it'll kind of lock onto it. And then the way, I'm not exactly sure the way it works because I'm not a scientist.
You're not
but
a heretic.
I'm not a heretic, but like it creates kind of like a gravity suction cup, I guess would be the best way to describe it, and it sucks the entire fleet closer to this planet. Like it locks onto the gravity of the planet, and it uses it for motion, so it can travel faster than light by sucking onto the planet.
Like even the description online, it doesn't say how they do it. It says like they somehow do it, and they like compress space.
And they're able to move.
Yeah, but essentially they use the gravity of the planet as a means of transportation, of a means of
It's
locomotion.
super fascinating to think about that.
It is,
you know?
and it's sweet because
Yeah.
it's
It's
described
very
to
unique.
Yeah.
It is, and it's wild too because it describes like when that the narwhal locks onto a planet, the planet starts to feel effects. And like the closer it gets, the more effects it feels. So maybe when it first locks on, maybe tides on the planet only change by 1 inch. But as it gets closer, you're getting these huge, massive gravity fluctuations that
would
mess
affect
up
the ecosystem.
Yeah,
in a
and
sense. Yeah.
because the Nids don't care if the planet gets wrecked.
No, of course not, because it's going to be digestive soup anyways.
Yeah, but like the people on the planet are now all of a sudden getting hit by like tsunamis or like earthquakes or
that's crazy. I think
just different environmental effects just due to the fluctuation of the gravity. So it's not only a means of transportation, it's also a means of disruption.
It's like
on the planet.
It's an unintended consequence of them.
Yeah,
but it is like it's totally part of it now, because while you should be preparing for a Tyranid,
you got your own
fleet,
Earth attack.
you have to deal with like your
yeah.
Earth shattering.
Yeah.
Like there's solar flares, earthquakes, tsunamis, like
So
all things that you don't normally have to prepare for.
Yeah.
It's pretty insane.
Yeah. So out of all the ships that the Nids have, the Tyranids, that one definitely is the coolest. Like it's just
super unique, but
super unique.
Fundamental to how they get around.
Yeah. Without that, like the Nids would not be able to survive.
Yeah. That's
They'd
true.
be able to survive, but they wouldn't be as dangerous.
True. It'd take so many years.
Right?
for
You would
things
have
to
so
actually
much
get
more
through.
time to get places.
I guess you guys are right, because they were able to traverse from a galaxy to another galaxy,
yeah.
so time is irrelevant, and they had the ability to last for long periods of time.
yeah.
So
Yeah, but don't you think if they weren't able to travel at that speed, like even in like modern warfare, like one of the things is like transportation.
I guess,
that can
yeah.
win wars, right?
True. Yeah. It's
Like
true.
like if you can't travel fast enough,
You
like
can't reinforce a position, you're in trouble.
couldn't they
Yeah.
go extinct by other races?
yeah,
potentially?
I guess like they themselves would survive, but as soon as you include those other races, like if the Imperium or the Eldar started attacking them,
Yeah.
and then they can just instantly jump away or
Yeah.
do whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
like
keep attacking it till there's nothing left.
yeah, exactly. And they could stop it before it reached another planet to get reinforcements. And no, that's a good
and
point.
because they do rely on like biomass basically to
To feed
fuel,
and grow,
right?
Yeah.
grow the army and
Like,
evolve its
you wouldn't be able to get
capabilities.
to enough biomass because
Yeah.
you're too slow.
Yeah,
to
so it would
actually
essentially be the death of them.
Yeah.
But like a narwhal, you can't get rid of it. It's not like there's
Yeah.
It's not like the Astronomicon where there's only one.
Yeah,
Like,
well, they
they just
birthing
create
them.
another
Yeah.
narwhal.
yeah, but it's cool.
Okay, let's talk about what the Tyranids look like. And that is a very varied conversation because it's so different from unit to unit.
You have some that are 6-legged dog creatures. You have some
What are those?
like a gaunt, like
Oh.
a 6-legged.
Okay.
Yeah, like
Sure.
not the best analogy.
Six-legged. I just picture like a russet terrier with like 6 legs.
Yeah, but like you have like that kind of thing. You also have like more like humanoid looking things where like a warrior is standing on 2 legs
Yeah.
and has 2 arms, kind of 4 depending on what you give him, but like
Depending on the biomorphs.
Yeah. But, like,
most often 4.
yeah.
I think 6 legs are usually what
They're like
Nids come in.
well,
Usually.
no, I don't even know if you can say usually. Like
Well, I mean, if you because I remember reading through some of the codexes and they break down the appendages of each unit, and if you look at the Rippers to the Gaunts to the Warriors and even to their Tyrants,
Yeah.
they consistently have 6 legs.
I would say 6 limbs would be more-
Limbs, sorry, limbs. That's
Yeah.
what I'm going
Okay,
for.
yeah, limbs- yeah, 'cause, yeah,
I didn't mean legs. Sorry.
Yeah, because some have 2 legs, 4
exactly.
arms.
Yeah,
others
yeah,
have
yeah.
4 legs.
Yeah,
or
2
6
one arm
yeah.
or 2 arms.
But
yeah.
They're essentially like insectoids.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly it. Yeah.
But yeah, they can range anything from like a tiny little like
spore.
spore all the way up to like a Tyranid hive ship even
Hive ship
hi-
or Hierophant. Or
yeah,
whatever,
like where a Hierophant's like I don't know, I'd probably say like a 50-foot tall bug creature
pretty much.
with like giant cannons on it.
Yeah.
It's the equivalent
It's
to a
the
Titan.
answer. Exactly. It's answer
But-
to the Titans.
Yeah, like they can really range from anything, and the crazy thing about them too is they're always adapting and always making new units or new variations.
Yeah. So through like a biomorph, like
Yeah.
you'll see like a warrior,
Yeah.
and then you'll see the warrior beside it who is a little different.
Yeah.
And he has a different appendage, and this one has like he has a different gun on him, and
Yeah.
it's all grown into his
Yeah.
like genetic code when he was birthed.
Yeah.
So even like you could sit there and describe it, but there's literally just
there's so
hundreds
many
of different
different-
variants. But they all serve a very specific purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
And that would probably be the main thing about Tyranids is they birth things like out of need.
Yeah,
they
if-
need something, so they birth it.
If they're on a fortress world, they're going to make use of carnifexes
Very
to break
heavy
da-
weapons.
to break down these fortress walls. So if they're in like a wide open plains planet or something like that,
They're gonna want like rippers.
Yeah.
or fast
Probably.
units
Yeah,
or
or
whatever,
flying units, right?
or maybe even
Gargoyles,
burrowing units
rivers.
to get cover, whatever they
Yes.
deem is
What,
necessary.
and what are they fighting?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So,
Yeah, there's so many variations.
One thing that John brought up last night when we were talking or whatever was that Nids don't have technology.
Mm-hmm.
Like even their guns, they don't have bullets.
Mm-hmm.
They shoot little
Organisms.
organized
Or like
acid.
Yeah.
substances,
Yeah.
molecules, things
like
like
they
that.
have the one gun called a flesh borer, which shoots like parasites that splatter on your armor,
Yeah.
and then they start to eat your armor and
Yeah.
like try to eat you alive. Like
Which is kind of crazy to think about. You're getting nailed with these little beetle things that are trying to eat you
Yeah.
while you're dealing with the big thing that's trying to kill you. So
Yeah.
it's like you got so many like things happening in an invasion. It's insane.
yeah, yeah,
it kind of like is weird how like they're ships.
yeah,
Right, like how do you, like what's their propulsion? Like a narwhal, we understand how that one works.
Yeah.
But the narwhal creates the tube that the rest of the fleet goes through.
yeah.
Right, it compresses the space and allows the fleet to travel through there. But like, what's actually powering their ships? Like, do they not have light in their ships, or is it all like bioluminescence?
I think see, this is what I said was they don't have technology, they have biology, right? So everything that they have and create is to further their purpose, and so I
Yeah.
would assume they would have sensors or feelers that would know what direction they're going,
Well,
equilibrium balances in their own
Yeah.
bee bodies, of
Yeah.
wings to propel them. Like eyes that see whatever they need to see, right?
Well, and even so, like when they're on a ship, right, and they're navigating the corridors, they're all connected to the hive mind. So you could rip out all the eyes of all the creatures; they would still know where they are because they're
Exactly.
still connected to the ship. Like they know where that wall is because they are.
They just see it.
They share the
just feel
same
it. Yeah.
consciousness
Yeah.
as the ship, essentially.
Yeah, because the ship
so-
analyzes the threat or sees
Yeah.
it, and
So
like
a
that's
need-
how they would navigate.
Yeah, so a
Exactly.
need for lights, they don't.
don't really need
Yeah,
it.
and
And if they did, bioluminescence or
But, like,
biology would change.
yeah.
To get them what they need.
yeah, but
I don't think
even
they
like
did.
there are creatures that have night vision.
Yeah.
Like it's not
It's not a hard. thing to
not
create.
rare.
Yeah.
Who?
Like
Snakes.
bats.
Bats
Well,
don't
they
have
use
night vision.
echolocation. Yeah.
Yeah, but snakes, for instance,
snakes
they
have
use
heat
thermal.
vision.
Yeah,
That's
that's what I
not-
mean. So not what he means by night
You
Owls?
filthy.
Owls?
No, like rodents can
Yeah,
see
like-
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nocturnal animals can see
Yeah.
I just
better.
wanted you to say it, bats. I knew
Bats?
you were gonna say bats.
Yeah, I know that was.
setting
It's a
Mark
trap.
up. It's a trap.
It's a trap.
Yeah. You
No, but that's
sick
a,
man.
That's a good point. That like through like their psychic link,
Yeah.
they would because I was more thinking like, how do you navigate a ship?
Fair enough.
With you when you can't see the inside of it, but they don't need
don't
to
need
see.
that.
It- it's like when you see
because-
like a bat or not a bat. Now you got bats on the brain. A bird swarm. Like they're all like functioning together when they're flying. Like they're not running into each other. They kind of all know. They
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
they just
they know what direction they're moving in, and
Yeah.
all that.
It's the hive mind, guys.
The hive mind.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what makes it function.
As for propulsion, I don't know if this is a fact or if this is speculation. I don't know. But like as for actually moving ships and stuff,
Yeah.
I like to think of it just as like gas output. Like
they're farting.
essentially,
Kind of,
yeah. Like
Methane
kind of the
gases.
only almost because that's the only way they could create any kind of combustion is
Yeah.
through,
Yeah.
like
Methane.
or through like digestive some sort of digestive process.
Some sort of fuel thing.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
and like
And then it like a lot of like some creatures like can create a discharge.
yeah.
Yeah.
So then it wouldn't even be like a discharge of electricity. So like they've built up this like gas
Yeah.
through like digestion.
You just got
and
a
then-
bunch of nids rubbing them against each other and creating static, and they're like, okay.
Just think of like a room of everything just vibrating,
It's
and
possible.
then it just lights and.
Yeah.
That's an interesting.
Yeah.
thought.
And then like on like, because in space, all you need is like a tap, and that'll push you indefinitely.
yeah, it's true.
Like
yeah.
where on a planet, most creatures will
Until
have.
you hit another massive.
Exactly. Like something that's
like there's
you.
space dust.
Well,
That's true.
Sure, yeah. But
Like,
the
you
basic
do
concept,
need, yes, you need a lot less energy
Yeah.
in space than
Yeah.
you would need on
the
a planet.
yeah.
gravity.
And on planets, they get around by wings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how they fly.
Yeah. I was being argumentative when we were planning this. And I
Yes.
was like, well, you say no technology, but technically everything is run off of electrical currents.
Sometimes
Like
Eric
your
gets in this
brain.
Yeah,
mindset.
but-
Your brain fires,
get plugged
and you're like
in?
the reason your muscles move and contract is because of electrical currents.
Yeah, but-
like we can force a heart.
I'm calling you out on bullshit. So
we
like
can force a heart
this is
to
what
keep
you.
beating because of like electricity.
No, I know what you're saying, but you're like, last night I was jokingly, but now you're like serious. Like last night I was jokingly telling about how they have technology, but that was just like your perfect opening. So now you can argue, but you're like, but I know I'm joking, but like you're still arguing, Eric.
I
Once again, that glint in your eye, I see it.
it's not real. No, it's interesting to me to think like I would want to say they've advanced, but it's not advanced. Like it's, if anything, it's adapt and evolve.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're very adaptable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the entire hive fleet, right?
So I have a couple other things. So we've said they're bug-like. We've kind of deviated on this. They are chitinous.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they have armor plates wherever their specific unit has them.
Yeah.
It's going to change a lot depending on the unit.
Depending on vital organ. Wow, do they have vital organs?
Of course they do.
Yeah, like they still need a heart. And,
Yeah, and a stomach.
I don't know if they need a stomach.
To eat?
No,
Yeah,
they
the
don't.
stomach piece, I don't think they. I think
they need it.
they break it down to the submolecular structure.
Well-
That they just ingest into their very DNA, and then at the end they digest themselves in these pools. The capillary towers come, get sucked up into the
I actually
ship.
couldn't find that because I tried
Yeah,
to
I
find
don't think
it.
that's a thing.
Really?
either,
I
but-
tried to find it and I
and,
couldn't.
And here's the thing too, like a warrior, a gaunt, a hive tyrant, any of a Carnifex, none of these creatures are eating
then
things.
why would they need a mouth?
Because it's another form of attack. Like
Why-
that.
like,
That's
why
not
would you
their.
need- why would you
that's
need a
not
tongue?
Their, that's
No,
not their
so-
purpose, though. The purpose, like the unit that John's thinking of, is Rippers. Rippers go around and they're eating things,
and they look like slugs.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
they like
yeah.
gorge themselves, and
On
then they
everything.
throw themselves on the in the pool.
In the pool.
But like a Nid or a warrior, that's not, or sorry, a Gaunt or a warrior, that's not their purpose. Their
You don't
purpose
think
is
they eat?
No, the purpose is to kill.
Yeah.
It's true. Now that I remember the codex,
Yeah, like-
certain codexes, they're the infantry. They're the ones that are going in
Yeah,
to mop the mess up.
And here's the
then-
thing, like, sure, like at the very end when the battle's done, maybe they gorge themselves then with their mouth and they eat things and then they toss themselves in the digestion pool.
Yeah.
But that's not their purpose.
Yeah.
That's more just like, well, the battle's done, might as well do this to save time.
There's nothing wrong with having a secondary function.
Yeah, but like during the battlefield, they're not just like quickly eat everything you can. Like it's
No.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
very much like
Just kill it. Put
at
it
the
down.
end of the battle.
Yeah.
You might as well eat something on your way back to the digestion pool, just to save time. But like that's not why they're made.
Yeah.
But
that's
all
why
I'm
Rippers
saying
are made.
is they would need stomachs.
Do you need a stomach? And you probably don't even want a stomach. Like you probably just need a holding sack.
I wish.
Holy,
I wish I
that's
had-
true, 'cause
right?
you don't
Like
need
a,
to-
true, yeah.
you
Well,
don't
no,
you don't need to digest
so
to get nutrients.
how are they creating their energy to function?
They're probably
Hive
just
mind.
born with like a limited amount of energy. Like
So they have a shelf
Expire,
life, and then
probably.
Yeah, like-
they just
Probably.
expire at some point.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah,
That makes
like-
sense.
why spend all this time on?
Because what would take more energy? Creating a stomach in something and allowing it to refuel itself?
Yeah.
Or creating a brand new unit? I don't know,
That
but the
is
stomach.
only that I know.
The stomach sounds like a lot less work.
Yeah, and it's possible that they do that, but once again, that's a secondary feature, not the primary.
Exactly.
feature.
Yeah, and I'm like that is obviously a concedable thing. But they are. I wrote here. They're bug-like. They're the stuff of nightmares.
Oh yes, really,
They
mine are
are-
not like that.
Your nightmares are.
My nightmares are not like that.
They consist of My Little Pony and rainbows and.
No, those
Sour
are my
Patch Kids.
daydreams.
They are made or bred for one purpose and one purpose only, and it's just the destruction and the assimilation of not assimilation is the wrong word,
Yeah.
but the
Yeah.
absorption
Absorption.
of
Yeah.
everything, every living organism.
Everything that has biomass
Yeah.
is sucked into the fleet.
So that's a good segue into
The Norn Queen.
no.
Okay, because that's what's next on the list.
You don't need to talk about Northern Queens.
Okay, so what was your segue into?
Into planetary invasion, and the reason
Yeah.
why they invade planets is to get biomass. So now we can talk about how they get biomass. How do they start an invasion?
Good old nom noms.
Well, it's always with gene stealers. So I was taking a look. We had written like there's the two potential kinds
Yeah.
of invasions, but both start with gene stealers regardless, because the mycetic spores that they send down Like,
Oh, sure, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
But
both
they're
will
different.
start with them regardless. It's just that if a gene stealer like happens to get on a planet, like it will start the cult.
The cults.
Yeah.
Like if it's not part of the fleet.
I know what you're saying,
Right,
and
so.
sure,
Because
yeah.
I was looking at like the actual stages of the invasion, and it did say like
Yeah,
it starts with gene stealers.
yeah. But
it's just about like
very different
how close
approach.
is the hive fleet
Yeah.
to it.
So let's start with the first way. Let's talk a bit about gene stealers and cultists.
Okay, so
And
a
how
gene
that way
stealer is
works.
actually a pretty unique model.
One of my favorites, personally.
Yeah, it seems to be like a classic
Yeah,
Tyranid
yeah.
go-to.
Yeah. So a gene stealer, it's kind of humanoid, but they're very squat. They can
very
have like
hunchback.
they have a very large head. They can have like 4 arms in total. But what makes them interesting and unique is the ovipositor that they have. So their tongue can actually like puncture through a species skin and deposit like their genetic code in like an embryonic sac in that. This person then becomes a contagion, and their DNA itself is slowly changed. But what happens more is they become slave to the hive mind. Now, I know we haven't talked a lot about the hive mind yet, but it's kind of it would be what controls the Tyranids.
Yeah.
But it does have a range on it, and sometimes gene stealer is on a planet. Say, it put itself in Mark, and then Mark got on a ship.
I only put myself in things, not the other way around.
And then Mark got on a ship, and it transported Mark transported halfway across the galaxy. This, Mark is no longer under the control of the hive mind, but when he has a baby, that baby, who is now part gene stealer, like will start to create others like this, and then it creates its own mind, its own collective psychic thing, and that's called the brood mind. So this would be like a decent way for the Tyranids to actually spread around the galaxy. They just piggyback on other races.
Yeah, so the Tyranids invade a planet, and all the occupants on the planet are trying to get off, so they take their ships or whatever. And gene stealers will purposely infiltrate these ships leaving the planet, whether it's an Imperial ship or an Elder ship or whatever, and they purposely hop on that ship, and then
Just wait.
they're spread. Yeah, they're just hide in the corner for like years, potentially even, until they can start their own cult, essentially.
Yeah, and-
until they can start ovipositing.
Yeah.
Ovipositing? What is it called?
It's an the thing is an ovipositor.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're spreading their own
It's a gene
seed.
seed. It's the gene seed that they're spreading.
I don't like that word because that's not the right word.
No.
It's their DNA they're spreading.
It is an embryonic sac.
All right, we'll say the embryonic sac.
But it's also known as the gene stealer's kiss.
Yeah.
But what is interesting is that they'll put in the one guy, and then their one guy becomes slave to the mind, and then that person starts making babies, and then it starts spreading and spreading. And if it's not part of a normal invasion force, they will attempt to gain political power on that planet. They go for the highest functioning society there because they're not dumb.
Yeah.
Like they have the ability to see this.
Yeah,
And-
gene stealers are highly intelligent.
yeah, and like their whole purpose is to gain political power, to turn everyone into a gene stealer, to prepare the way for
an
the
invasion.
Tyranid invasion and make everything super easy for the high fleet.
Yeah, because if they get the Imperial governor of the planet,
They can start like making rules.
like, no one's allowed to own a gun. Give us all your guns.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
stuff like that,
Yeah,
or-
like no one's allowed to communicate off planet unless it goes through our channels.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
yeah. So it
Anything
can,
to, like you said, just make the invasion easier.
yeah.
Or they're even like a day or days or weeks or months before the invasion, they'll go and they'll just destroy all the power generators or whatever.
Exactly. It depends on how close the fleet is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But an interesting thing is if it went this way, where the Hive Fleet wasn't necessarily planning to attack this planet, and then Gene Stealer cult is starting to rise up, at some point, the Gene Stealer, like the main guy, the Patriarch, releases like a psychic like blast.
Yeah.
And it kind of reminds me of the Pharaohs.
Yeah, a little bit.
And what it'll do is it will attract the Hive Fleet that's closest, and then that Hive Fleet knows this
That
planet
planet's
is ready
Yeah.
for takeover, and they'll go and
Yeah.
absorb it.
Yeah. So that's definitely one of the major ways.
An invasion happens.
Yeah. And then like you're saying, or I don't know where I'm going with this.
I don't know where you're going with it either. But the other one, like the other one would be, and Mark and I kind of had like a little argument about this last night, but the thing would be like a random encounter by the Tyranids.
Oh yeah, so like the gene stealers, let's pick up from there. The patriarch sent out that psychic blast, so the Nids know that there's a planet in that direction, but just because that planet is there doesn't mean that it's the closest planet to the actual Nid fleet.
Right.
There could be tons of planets on the way. So on the way to that beacon, they're like, oh, there's a tasty planet right there. They're not just going to pass by it. They're going to invade that planet. And this is kind of the second way Tyranids like will choose planets to invade. Will be there's a planet there on the way to that gene stealer beacon. So step one, we'll invade the planet with a bunch of gene stealers. That way they can go onto the ships or onto the planet and then go onto the ships while everyone's fleeing and make more cults to find more planets. And it all is kind of like...
It's very practical.
Yeah.
They're not going to like waste... They're not going to circumvent like around the Milky Way to get to a gene stealer cult planet that's like literally out of the way of where they're headed.
They don't go around, they go through.
Yeah, they go through, exactly. That's exactly it,
Yeah, so once the Nids reach a planet, let's talk about what happens.
Well, there is a breakdown of what exactly happens, and from start to finish, from like when a Tyranid like gets in your orbit till when the planet is like nothing but bare rock, is 100 days. Like,
I'm opposed to that.
That's the average.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
Right?
There's the
Like,
key word. That's the average.
Yeah, because some invasions can be halted through like months of battle or whatever.
Or some could be stopped instantly.
Exactly. Yeah, you just cut off the hive fleet and move on or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, like, or maybe it's the Tyranids' plan. Like, they're like, we got 100 days to like kill this planet.
Yeah.
But the way it works is like they'll do a drop. They drop these spores. They start building, and then just every day they creep a little further and further out as they start to build more units and more units on the ground, and they birth them. But around day 50 is when the main hive fleet should arrive on the planet. So like the first like ship comes and it drops spores, and then the population starts growing and growing, and then around day 50 is when the main hive fleet will show up, and that is where we get our 1.5 billion ship number from. And then it does say by day 48 the Tyranid population is doubling every 2.5 days. That's a lot. That's insane.
That's a crazy mass amount of. Yeah. That's why it's the endless swarm, right? They just keep coming.
Yeah, and by day 50, so that's when the fleet shows up, and that's when Shadow and the Warp happens, and we're gonna get into that later. But all it means for the planet is all of a sudden contact off planet doesn't exist anymore. All psychic contact, which is how they get around. They use their the choir. Is that what it is?
What? Who?
How do the Imperials communicate?
Oh yeah. Yeah, what is it? I know it is.
We
choir.
literally talked about it.
Yeah, we did
in a previous episode. But it's how they communicate off planet through like their psychic channels,
networks. Yeah.
But that is completely cut off by the Shadow and the Warp. And then around right after the Hive Fleet arrives is when they'll actually start their biomass like ingestion. They'll attempt to, they'll go down to the planet and they'll get everything rounded up. And what happens is there are these things called reclamation pools, which are just digestive pools, really, that they will put all the life, all the biomass inside. Yeah,
anything from a tree to a human.
Yeah, everything. Anything that can break down. Actually, water is like sucked up.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, the oceans would be like,
drinking straws.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
But yeah, so everything hops into these digestion pools.
Hops or is thrown.
Forced into those
But these massive pools that all they're doing is breaking down all this mass, just digesting it, and then it's sucked up to the main fleet through capillary tubes. And that literally, it would be so cool. Just these massive tubes stretching from like the planet's surface all the way into space, into these massive ships.
Is that the way it's done? Are they grown from the planet? Because I always thought more like it was. I guess they're grown from the planet.
They grow, at least from what I understand, is they grow from the planet to the ship.
Yeah, because to me it makes more sense if like the hive fleet. That makes more sense to me. But if it's the other way, that's fine. Yeah. But yeah, like either way, the planet is then connected to hive hive ships through the tubes. Oh yeah, that looks like they're grown from the ground.
Yeah, they
Like to me, it makes more
grow.
sense. Like if the hive ship had like a tongue, it's just like
Right.
and it just like unfolded down to the planet. and
think of
sucked
that
it
bug
up.
that has like a
Right?
spirally tongue and just
Yeah.
like that would be cool.
Right, but whatever.
No, yeah.
These are still very cool too,
Yeah.
and they're just basically tubes.
Yeah, they're just straws.
Yeah.
That would just shoot all this fluid in the reclamation pool up to the planet.
Yeah.
So then, like once they've consumed everything, the ships actually descend into the upper atmosphere and they start to harvest the atmosphere itself.
Yeah.
Which like causes like when your atmosphere disappears, like you have no shield for the sun, so all your water and everything else would just like burn or boil away.
The ecosystem's completely destroyed, thrown off balance.
Oh, at this point, like if anyone is still alive, they're dead.
Yeah.
Right? Like
If anyone's
oxygen.
still alive,
they're dead.
They're dead.
They're being kept alive through magic.
It's a completely coherent statement.
But yeah, like once they start to like absorb the atmosphere of the planet, everything else will just disappear from the heat of the sun or the cold, you never know. And then after that, like by day 80, the hive fleet has moved out of the system in search of new prey.
Yeah.
Like that is the
Ridiculously
quickest
fast. Yeah.
ever.
In and out.
And
Eat it,
yeah.
move on.
And really, like you'd probably only really know the Tyranids are there probably around like day 20.
Where you're already in trouble.
Yeah. So because at that point, like so right in here it says by day 9, Tyranids have expanded to around 200 kilometers from the drop point. That's still pretty small when you're looking at an entire planet. Like if they were to drop in the middle of the Amazon right now, we would have no idea. Like, and then it says by 13 they have expanded to 700 kilometers from the drop point. We still would have no idea.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and then it's only at day 48 when they start doubling. That's when things would get hairy for us. And then the hive fleet arrives 2 days later.
Yeah, so you're already just
Right?
you're dealing with
Yeah.
them on the ground and in space, so you're literally cut
Yeah.
off from
Yeah.
any hope.
Yeah.
So, it's a pretty quick and efficient.
Yeah, any planet that they come into contact that is not like a militarized planet,
Is in trouble.
like
there's no hope.
if they just land on like an agri world,
They're dead.
Like because they have no way to know that the Nids are there, like you were talking about, and they just eat the planet. Plus, not every planet's like occupied too.
It's true.
Yeah, a lot of it,
Yeah.
or it could just be like an alien race
Yeah.
that is
They
just
just-
not advanced or
Yeah.
something.
Just eat it.
So
Yeah.
they absorb everything they can and they move on, which is pretty cool.
I would argue probably if not the greatest threat in the Imperium. Personally, I think that's
What's worse, though, having your planet eaten or having your soul devoured by chaos?
I know, and that's the great the great fight
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, you can die once or you can be
Yeah.
tortured forever.
Yeah.
It's difficult. It's a difficult one because both are absolutely terrifying if you were to actually face them. So
Yeah,
The one thing that, like, I understand why Games Workshop does it, but, like, I just don't see Nids as, like, a threat because Games Workshop often uses them as, like, the punching people. Like, oh, this planet, what? Like, Bale, the homeworld of the Blood Angels, was just recently invaded by Nids, and they just, even though it's, like, the huge Nid fleet, like, just 1,000 Space Marines are able to survive. Like, but it's,
guess.
like, where, like, you can't really do that, like, if you destroy, like, a craft world or, like, something known like that. You can't really do that because then you're taken away from Eldar players.
Yeah.
Where Nids, they don't have a personality to take away
you're totally
from.
right
like,
because then they can
Yeah.
always just say, "Oh, they're reproducing in the
Yeah.
ship." It's not a real loss
exactly
to the Nids to lose anything.
And like
Yeah.
McCraig, the Ultramarines homeworld, also
Yeah.
invaded by Nids, survived. Like
Yeah.
it just is like
it's true.
there's the two extremes. Either there's like the hundreds of planets that are like agri worlds that don't stand a chance, or it's like, oh, we survived,
yeah.
plot armor.
It's
like.
it's almost like they need like a massive shift in story
Yeah.
if they're going to be like an actual significant threat.
Yeah.
And I think that has a lot to do with their goal
Well, yeah,
and
exactly.
their end game.
but
if you
that's
think-
how.
If you think about this, though,
Yeah.
like those agri worlds that they're taking over and all those planets that make up of the Imperium, sooner or later they're gonna be like, "Oh, we don't have food," or "Oh, we
Doesn't
have
matter
no
as
Yeah,
long
but-
as the Blood Angel chapter is still alive.
But
It's
does
fine.
it-
Like
I guess.
Is it really
Like-
playing that as their end game? Like, so
Yeah.
we also had this
Just-
conversation, like, how smart are the Tyranids? Did they go to McCraig on purpose? Or was it an accident? Right? Do you think they would specifically target agri-worlds? Because that would be a crucial blow to the Empire.
I know what you're saying, because
Yeah.
you're saying like they're just kind of reaching for whatever's in reach, really, right? To eat and
Right.
to survive.
There could be a difference in that. And we don't know about what their actual
intentions are.
Yeah, do they make more tactical decisions
Right.
when consuming a planet? Is it like,
Exactly.
okay, that's not really worth it?
Like if they had 3 planets all within the same reach,
Right.
are they just picking one at random,
Right,
or
right.
do they
there's-
choose one with like tactic?
there'd be a
So
tactic-
that's why
they're
tactical
highly
advantage.
intelligent,
Yeah,
like-
they're not stupid. Like agri-worlds for sure would be easy fruit to hit, and they'd know they'd have to like take on the Forge World with more,
Yeah.
like a stronger hit. As opposed
Yeah, but
to
that's understanding your enemy. That's like coming across 2 enemies in the field and being like, okay, for this guy I need a gun, and for this guy I need a gun with armor-piercing rounds and body armor
Right.
and night vision. Like
Right.
you're gonna take them both out,
Right.
But you just need different tools for the job.
Right.
Or do you
One
say
you
like,
need less tools, so.
but or if you would go, if I take this guy out, this guy will run. Right? So,
yeah.
because the Tyranids, to me, it's like they don't actually have like a higher intelligence beyond feeding, which is like
Sure.
a base instinct. Because
No, but the thing is the hive mind, like, and in the rules you see it, like they'll go to their base instincts if they're not in the hive mind. That means to me that there's an intelligent force driving
does
them
it
forward.
like sure you understand war and you understand tactics and you understand how to beat your enemy, but when your enemy is done, you had no purpose. Your only
absolutely.
purpose was to beat the
I
enemy.
see what you're
Yeah.
saying.
No, absolutely.
Right? I see what you're
But-
saying.
And then, like, do they understand tactics like on a grander scale? Do they understand economy?
Yeah.
Right? Do
Yeah, they must, because like gene stealers, cultists, like they set up a whole like system.
Right,
Like,
but a gene stealer
They-
is
they
technically separate because they have their own brood mind.
I know, but
So do
It's
they
still the
take
hive
that
mind,
back to
though.
the hive mind? And does the
Yeah,
hive mind
why
care?
not?
It learns though.
why not?
It
Why would it
learns.
not?
Well,
Anything to make the invasion of the next planet easier.
Do
If they're
you
like, oh,
think
humans,
that the hive mind considers itself above it?
the hive mind considers
You're
itself
asking the question:
above what?
is it aware?
Economic warfare.
Is it self-aware of itself? Is essentially what you're saying.
No, that's not what I'm asking at all. Does like sure like I understand like how ants work. I'm above them. I don't care. Like I could remove the food source of an ant and slowly watch a colony die, or
Yeah.
I could just step on them, right, with no thought to how it actually works.
No,
Does a
they have to know.
Right, so that is what I'm wondering, because if they have a purpose, then it makes it a lot scarier.
They don't have a purpose. They're just there to feed.
Well, then if they have no purpose, then they have no goal. What need would they have for any of these tactics other than we keep
simplicity.
trying and trying until
For
we get it?
simplicity.
Yeah, like isn't that the purpose? Just
Yeah.
to grow bigger.
Right, but then it doesn't matter which world they attack.
No, it does. Because if you attack the agri world, you instantly grow bigger without losing it, like anything.
losses.
Yeah,
Like-
like it's
and if
just,
you
it's just
destroy-
a law of diminishing returns.
If
right?
you
Yeah,
destroy
like-
the
Exactly.
force, if you destroy the army force right now, you stop it from having a chance to grow and become a bigger threat later on. Do they understand that?
I'm certain
must,
would.
yeah,
I'm
like-
certain they would.
But
So that means
why would you? Sure, whatever. We're derailed on something
There's
that we will
probably
never have
some
an answer
sort of-
for.
There's
They're intelligent.
I would assume that there's like some sort of cost benefit
analysis
for sure.
that's done
For sure.
Maybe not in the way that we would do it, but like they must have some sort of way to weigh that, right? Rather than just like attack the closest thing all the time.
Yeah.
yeah.
But actually, I
Like,
don't even have any evidence. Of
to
that,
me,
but-
Well,
like, I
don't. None
It's
of
all
this. It
speculation.
is all-
Anything with
yeah.
Nids is all speculation.
Because like we said before, we only have records of the invasion.
Yeah.
Stuff passed on from Inquisitor Critman when he first contacted them and warned the Empire of this threat and was excommunicated.
You want to know a horrible pet peeve of mine when people call the Imperium the Empire?
Why is
the
that?
Empire.
Because it's not the Empire, it's Imperium.
It's the Imperium.
Like the Empire is Star Wars. Like they're different. Not that John's saying that. Like it's just like.
But
it's
am
the
I?
Imperium. It's the Imperium of Man. It's not the Empire of Man.
You sure about that? You don't think Vader?
It's-
It's
No,
like if I was
it's
to
not
call
an
the
empire.
Tyranids Tyranids. Wouldn't that frustrate? No,
Because that's probably the right way.
no one gets frustrated by that.
Who has an empire in the universe?
Tau.
Tau. have an
We don't
empire.
call it the Tau Imperium.
No, it's
right.
the
But
empire.
no, but like if it's the Imperium, it's still an empire, even if that's not the correct word for
No,
it.
Right,
I
but
know.
you also wouldn't call it a kingdom.
Yeah, we don't call it.
The
Yeah, but-
Imperium of Man.
Imperium
Yeah.
and empire.
It's
are
it's a minor
and-
pet peeve that
and
has
similar
no
words.
relevance to anything.
Not at all, but I'm just going to rephrase what
How
I
is
said.
Imperium like different, like as far as like a dictionary definition?
Well, I don't
Oh,
know.
it's not. It's just a title. It's like
Yeah,
You don't call something that it's not.
I know. Yeah, it is the Imperium, but it is.
It doesn't matter.
You should just take a breath.
I did. I said my words and I'm past it. I just wanted everyone to know that there is a right way to do things and a wrong way to do things.
We did get super derailed there.
Yeah.
We were talking about invasion tactics. The next one we're going to jump into is the hive mind.
Yeah.
And this is probably like the weirdest thing of the Tyranids because it's
definitely the hardest thing to understand or get any solid information on.
Right. And all this is at its most base, it is the collective will of the entire Tyranid race that forms like the direction of what the Tyranids do. Like a Tyranid in and of itself like can't make like large decisions. I don't know. All of them have like some kind of autonomy.
Yeah.
Right. And all of them will have the base instinct, like at least to attack and destroy whatever in front of them.
Yeah.
But like higher tactics, like a Tyranid without the hive mind, to my understanding, would not perform like a flanking maneuver.
No,
because it's just going straight for an enemy and attacking in its most base form.
Yeah,
but a hive mind can direct
what
the units and it understands that like there's a flow to battle.
I would say that they're already innate within the units themselves, though, right? These different tactics, because think of it like
well, doesn't our synapse prove that if they're not within synapse, they can't?
Sure,
do
they go.
That's
That's true. No, that is true. But for what they're bred for the purpose within the synapse, I guess. What I'm trying to say is this: like, for instance, you're not going to see a Death Leaper necessarily join the Gaunts on the front line and run with them, right?
Well, you attack to your ability.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you would, but you have a specific function, right? Within your.
But
class.
there's technically nothing wrong. Like, if does a Death Leaper require synapse?
They have the ability for infiltration. But they do, I think they do.
So if it does, like if you lose your synapse, but let's just go back to the hive mind.
Sorry, derailing into
it is like the hive mind helps direct the fleet. It's going to help direct where the fleet goes and which planets they're going to attack, how overall. They do their tactics. Yeah. I didn't see this anywhere, but the Norn Queen is actually responsible for birthing and like the DNA, but the hive mind has got to communicate like with the Norn Queen, like what's required. Like the Norn Queen would understand what's required through the hive mind.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So every single creature like within the Tyranid race needs the hive mind in order. They need it. They need to be felt by the hive mind.
Yeah.
They need some.
Like I need to be felt by you.
Stop it! Leave me alone! Stop touching me!
Yeah, and this like is probably the most misunderstood thing by humanity. It's
just so foreign.
Yeah,
it's
just so
right.
It's nothing like it.
Yeah, within like humanity, there's a good number of things I read is that we are trying to find the higher being that is responsible for the hive mind. But there isn't one.
Mm-hmm. Not necessarily.
It's pretty clear that it's nothing other than the collective will, and there's no one creature that you could destroy that would wipe out the hive mind.
As far as we know.
Yeah.
Right, but there's like. Even like when I was reading that's not humanity's description because it sounds like humanity actually thinks there is a creature responsible for it. But in reading from that, there actually isn't one.
Their search for it is futile.
And even when you kill a Norn Queen, like there's kind of like a psychic blast that happens, and then another Norn Queen is born. Yeah. It slows them down, but like, and that's like one of the bigger units, like the more important ones.
That carries the entire fleet within it.
Yeah. So there is like, but if you do lose the hive mind, let's say, I guess maybe.
So here there's hive tyrants who are like the living vessels of the hive mind. Just from what I've read, it seems to be, in a sense, they're almost the distributor of the hive mind's will.
So that would be a synapse creature.
Yeah, they're a synapse creature.
Yeah. Right.
But if you killed all of them, like, isn't that in a sense like hypothetically breaking
killing the
up
hive mind?
Yeah,
Not really. It's only temporary because all they need is a new synapse creature to just come and exert the will of the hive mind
they're
over
right
the
back to
lesser
order.
creatures around it.
Yeah.
But if
So
you've killed every
right, it would take
synapse
but
creature.
it would take the
Can you
destruction of the
know?
entire
That's-
race.
That's what
I
I
know.
mean. Like
Right?
you'd have to kill
like
every
inevitably
single.
they would just create another
Exactly. Yeah.
synapse.
There's always
Yeah.
the thing with Nids is like there's always something to replace it.
Yeah.
There's always something to replace.
So, and that's why like there's not like one unit that creates the hive mind. It's all these creatures together are creating the will of the race.
But hypothetically, if you wanted to sort of cripple or slow
Absolutely.
the growth
of the race. Yeah.
of the Tyranids, you would want to go for the synapse creatures.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's that would be like if you had like the ability to do that,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
But then what? So if you're fighting an army and of an army of Tyranids and you destroy the synapse creatures, it's not like the other little guys. They
Just
just
disappear.
it's not like they just amble around without direction. They just become more bestial
Yeah.
now, and
Yeah,
now they
they're
lack
just very
direction.
instinctive.
Yeah.
Right, so now they'll just attack you without
Wherever.
regard
Yeah.
to like any kind
Or
of
they'll just
tactical.
hang back and wait, and then they'll go attack you. Or
No,
they'll
they just
lurk for a little
revert.
bit.
They revert to their base
I
instead
doubt
of
they're-
attacking.
Think about a dog though that's like trapped. Like if it sees a big creature coming at it, it might go high.
A dog
or
isn't
then it comes
bred
and
for
attacks.
destruction.
Right. Okay. Sure. But
Right.
from what I understand of the baser instincts within the rulebook, their baser instincts are lurking.
Yeah, but for
feeding, and-
gameplay,
Right,
like
okay,
it's a little
sure.
different.
Sure.
But yeah, like so there is like the hive mind, and then you can actually temporarily lose your connection to the hive mind.
and then you go to your base instincts. Kill it.
So synapse versus non-synapse. So there are some creatures within the Tyranid race that are connected to the hive mind, and they spread this connection in a radius around themselves, and it kind of exert the will of the hive mind. So like a regular gaunt, and please don't be wrong, Eric,
He's already wrong.
is not a synapse creature.
Oh, he's right.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah.
And so therefore he has no connection to the hive mind in and of himself.
Correct.
If he is on a planet, he's just going to do what Gaunts do, and that's just find something and kill it until he gets put down.
Exactly.
He has no desire beyond that.
Yeah.
When a synapse creature is around him, the Gaunt could be made to wait. It could be made to hide. It could be made to attack from a specific direction. And that's what the synapse creatures do, is they direct the flow of the creatures, the non-synapse creatures around it.
Here's an interesting thought.
Okay, I thought you were going to say like, Eric, you're wrong.
Why even have synapse creatures?
Why not just make them all...
Yeah.
Why not make them all able to access the hive mind?
And then they're all.
Can we think of a
more
reason?
vicious. Yeah.
Like obviously, like there's always the two sides. Like there's always like, well, gameplay wise, that
Right.
would make sense.
Yeah.
But
Well,
lore wise, I wonder why. Like,
Why don't they just all get super powerful? Well, we had this discussion earlier of like the
Like maybe
Yeah,
it's
like
biomorphs.
Tyranid
right?
relics
maybe
and
does it
stuff,
just
yeah.
take longer to grow?
Well, that's
like
what
a
I. That's what I
synapse
said.
creature?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Like
is that
and
there's-
more resources. to
Exactly,
grow a
and again,
synapse?
that's what I said. There's a cost going
yeah.
on with the creation of
I
these
know,
creatures.
but, like-
but Mark would then say like, well, why? Like you're still gonna get that biomass regardless. So why not create the best of those organisms? That
Yeah,
you can?
and
for
to
instance,
make-
all hive tyrant are.
But if
right?
you need if what you need is like speed and not like is quantity and not quality, then you sort of make that calculation, right? That you go for
yeah,
making as many as you can as fast as you possibly can, and that may
Yeah.
mean giving up making synapse creatures.
yeah, maybe it takes
I don't know,
a while.
but
yeah,
if it's just a matter of like your brain,
yeah, like I think it would just be all a matter of the brain.
It is.
But
They have
to-
a
to, like-
greatly increased synapse networks within
But
their
to
cortex.
just grow a brain, like a brain's not very big. It doesn't seem like it would take much to be able to just.
it is the most like in our own anatomy, like the brain is the most complicated part of like our entire body, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
But there are
Conceivably,
Yeah, I know
it
what
could
you're
be.
saying. Yeah, and maybe that's why it just literally takes too long if you, to make a brain for each gaunt.
Yeah.
That it wouldn't like you said, the cost to benefit ratio is not there. Which I
do
could
you,
buy that.
Do you think that some Tyranids ever rebel?
against the
I
hive
was
mind?
wondering that.
No.
I don't think so. That would be.
Does a Gaunt ever attack another Gaunt?
No.
I don't think.
What
so.
if they're not synapsed?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The only exception is Hive Fleet Hydra. But They're different.
I mean, you say that,
Like-
but again, it's all speculation.
No,
we don't exactly
no.
know.
So
That's a good question, though.
no,
Like,
so
I really
here's
haven't
the thing. There's
stopped to
like
think
I
about
said,
that.
there's always the two sides to the coin.
yeah.
There's always why is Games Workshop doing this, and why is the logical reason? The reason Games Workshop made Hive Fleet Hydra is so Nid players can fight each other and feel
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah,
Is that logically the best thing that they should have done? No. But for gameplay reasons,
It makes sense.
and for increasing their
Revenue,
sales,
yeah.
it makes sense. Should if they took money out of the or money or even players' ideas of wanting Nids to be able to fight Nids out of the argument, they would not fight each other, right? The only reason Hive Fleet Hydra exists is because they want that.
Yeah.
Just like the only reason Primaris
and you know
exists.
what? You know what? You're totally right, because they can release new box sets.
Exactly.
Now,
Like, there's always
you're
the two sides.
I think you're correct.
Yeah.
But now I have proof that a Tyranid can fight a Tyranid.
I know,
and I
but-
know you might not. We might not think that it works well in the lore, but it
now it's
exists.
lore.
So if every single one had a brain,
Yeah.
maybe it would give a little too much freedom. So they're
Yeah,
saying,
maybe. What? Wait, no. Then you would have even less freedom.
no, maybe like, I don't know. Maybe you can interpret things differently from the
You're
hive
thinking
mind.
of independence, right? So it would
That
have an
would
independent...
that would make more sense. Is like a bigger brain would be harder to control.
Well, no, because the bigger brain then.
Would take over the other brain, wouldn't it?
No,
Well, no, because the bigger brain has more access to the hive mind.
and the hive mind is
right,
what suppresses
And so
everything.
it would be,
the bigger creatures like hive tyrants,
Right,
warriors,
right, that makes sense.
xylophones.
Zyra, zone
Yeah,
thropes.
I don't know.
Zone
It's just,
thropes.
that seems like a weird thing. Like if your brain is bigger, like you should have more ability.
Bigger has nothing to do with it. It's about complexity. Because like the gene stealers have a very large brain, right?
Yeah.
And they actually
like they can influence politics.
Exactly. So that's one thing. But the synapse cortex, like within the brain, that's what gives them, like for all we know, all like a hive tyrant's brain is just that synapse cortex. Right? And all its like function is to spread, to dominate the area around it. So I can't think of any example where like a regular Gaunt like would fight another one.
That's the thing. It
No.
wouldn't. That's it.
Well,
just,
except it does.
I know. And
Not within
I'm
the
with
same
Mark on this
fleet.
one. I'm with Mark on this one. Lorically, it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make
at
any
all,
sense, and they probably should not have done it.
Exactly, because they're all in the one mission. They're all on that one mission. So the fact that this other synapse mind or this other ability comes in to take over its own, it's the hand that's killing.
what
it.
mission
Now
is
is there
that?
two hive minds? Like
Yeah, exactly. So then
Like,
what's creating its
it
impulses?
just-
What's driving it? Right. So it causes this conflict. Now this could fit. I'll say one thing. I will say one thing. People have been saying that the Nids maybe aren't necessarily that highly intelligent. That they're actually running away from something.
let's
No,
not even give
no,
credence to that. That's the
no.
worst.
That's what I've heard, and I don't believe it myself. But
No,
I'm just trying to.
that's-
I'm trying to explain.
Yeah.
In that, if that's the case, then they're running away from something. Then I guess you could raise in the question in that they're not as highly intelligent as we have thought. That therefore they could be.
No. Like that doesn't decry intelligence. It means they're smart enough that they realize they can't fight something.
That's true. So they're smarter than in the.
No, like saying that
So I shouldn't have even brought up that theory
level of
because-
intelligence has nothing to do
With-
with a Tyranid fighting another Tyranid. It has everything to do with how dominated they are
But
and
why-
how
But why would they
over-encompassing is the
split-
hive mind.
Why would they split their forces?
I
and
don't
cause
know.
Eric
A
did
rupture?
raise the one valid point number of episodes with them, and it's like the only reason we could think of is because this Hive Fleet Hydra is either super old or super new, and it's the most advanced one,
Right.
and it's trying to eat all the other
So
biomass
it's more intelligent
to
to try to take out. Yeah. That
Yeah,
makes
it's like
sense.
we
It's
have better-
removing
Yeah,
the
makes
old
sense.
models
right, and
to make
replacing
way.
it.
So because there's so much
That
DNA
works.
in every Tyranid
Yeah,
body
yeah.
that it's taking it, it's locking it away, and it's building
Its
better
own-
better
yeah,
units.
yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with thinking that like
That's very
the
true.
hive fleets will cannibalize themselves.
Oh, well, they do that all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
it feels like Hydra is doing it maliciously,
yeah,
right? From
It
the
just-
descriptions. Like there's
they have to expand on it.
Yeah.
I haven't read the new codex yet, so I don't
Neither
know.
have I.
And I'm excited to read the new codex
Yeah.
because then I'll probably have
Yeah,
some
and if they
answers
have
to
some
some
more
of the stuff that
information,
questions.
but-
that would make sense though. That I will concede on that point that if it is
Yeah.
an upgraded version, so to speak, and it's trying to enforce its will, like to
But-
recreate.
Yeah, but
why
even
would
then,
they
like-
why would they just pull back the other tendrils and then
Exactly.
shoot that
Like,
one forth?
it
right?
just
yeah.
Yeah,
They
it's
could
the two
just be like,
sides of
hey
the
guys,
coin.
let's switch
Well,
around. Let's give it to Hydra.
I'm not
and
a
follow
heretic.
him, right?
So, I like the last thing I want to talk about synapse versus non-synapse is that the size of the unit you are has nothing to do with whether or not you are a synapsed creature.
Yeah.
Yes.
Carnifex is a massive monstrous creature, not
Not
synapse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So it has everything to do with the function of the unit itself. And I think technically the Hive Fleet, you could be born with synapse. You could be born with anything. Like there's nothing saying you have to be born a specific way. It's just this is the way the hive mind does it. It's what works.
Yeah. Yeah. For all we know, the next planetary invasion that Nids do, all the gods will be synapse
Right.
creatures.
There's nothing
Yeah,
saying
who
they
knows?
won't be.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And that's the thing about the Nids is that, again, they're so adaptable that
Yeah.
we just can't pinpoint them and say, this is exactly what will happen.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so difficult
So
to classify
now,
things.
yeah.
we've kind of touched on the hive mind and synapse. Let's do shadow and the warp.
Yeah.
And the shadow and the warp is kind of a side effect, and it depends. I have yet to see anything that says they do it intentionally, or if it's just something that happens with that much psychic activity going on around the hive fleets. But what happens is it creates a cloud in the warp. So many Tyranids firing psychic messages back and forth to each other. It creates a blank, like a void. Not even a void. It really creates like a destructive field.
Just a nothingness.
To like
No.
No?
no, it will destroy the psychers around it.
It does. It does
It
overload the
does.
minds.
Yeah. Well, and that's the difference. It's not. This is often misunderstood. Like those psychers can still access the warp. Like they still have full access to the warp.
It's just that they're hearing so many voices at the same
No,
time.
because it
Yes,
cuts off
no.
all psychic communication.
No, it doesn't. The problem is, as soon as you open yourself up to the warp, you get overloaded by the hive mind, and that's the problem. It's not that you no longer. It's not like a blank where you do not. Even if you try your most, the warp does not exist around a blank.
It's not like
Well, I never said
Nexus
it's the void. I
Assassins,
said it's a
right?
destructive.
Sure, yeah.
There's
but
only- there's
the blankness or the void, it was kind of
I
mentioned.
don't know what Lexicanum says about it, but the 40K wiki does say that it blocks out connections to the warp. So
And that's how I've understood it.
are you on Lexicanum?
I am on the Lexicanum.
Yeah, I've always seen it, and I've read it as...
The reason why I don't think it actually blocks out the warp is because if a psyker goes next to a pariah, it is uncomfortable.
He cannot use it.
He can't use the warp, and it's uncomfortable. But he's not like he's not dying. He's more just like, oh, I had something in my brain, and now it's gone. Like my connection to the warp is gone. But in the shadow and the warp, you will literally just start bleeding.
That's because as soon as you open yourself up to
You
the
can't
warp,
handle it.
you get overpowered, and that's where it comes from. Like the hive mind's like it's just so strong,
Well,
it literally starts to like melt.
Exactly.
Your
What I've
brain.
heard is that it's like the voices of thousands speaking it all at once.
Yeah,
and it just-
exactly.
you can't
overloads
comprehend it.
But
Yeah.
there's psychers that can use the warp around Nids. And
I
they're-
can think about it's true. I
like-
think of it as if like you it's just like a bunch of like you can't focus, right? You open yourself up and you just can't focus. It's so overwhelming. Some people can maybe fight it and be strong enough to try to get a message
Yeah,
across or whatever.
The Ultramarine Librarian.
Think of it as just static,
Tigerius,
right?
yeah.
Just think of it as just radio static, and you're trying to communicate with someone, but it's like shh,
Yeah, exactly.
right? You can't.
and that's how it cuts off communication. It's
Yeah.
not that they can no longer communicate.
Yeah.
They still
Right.
can.
Yeah.
It's just you have to
Super
be
difficult.
such a high level psyker
How
to be
many are capable of doing that?
not many, but
You
is
know what? You were
possible.
right.
It's just that
It was
there's a
wrong for me
possibility.
to say that it's a blanket statement. It's like
Yeah.
it just cuts off warp.
yeah,
Yes.
because there's tons of psychers who
Yeah.
can still
Yeah.
use it. It just you have to be such a high level and you have to be in such control.
Yeah.
But yeah, you are right though. Like it is destructive,
Yeah.
and like for most people, if you're a psyker and you're around like the hive mind, the shadow, and the warp,
You're
it's
gonna explode.
not good. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna melt your brain. It's
Yeah.
gonna cause you all types of issues.
Yeah, you just can't handle like
Yeah.
all the activity that's going
Yeah.
on.
Think about of like you said, what is it? 1.6 billion is it of a fleet?
Ships, yeah,
Ships,
plus all the
5.
organizers.
Plus the entire other like fleets in the
Yeah.
galaxy all talking at once. Like you couldn't handle that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's kind of once again like Nids, like they just evolved to make it so their planetary invasions are easier. So this shadow of the warp, I think it is an intentional thing to stop communication so reinforcements can't come. Like
Well, that would answer one question.
Huh.
Like, I guess all of this, the warp exists outside of the galaxy.
Yeah, and
So they know
did
about
speculate.
it, obviously. They know about it, so they're obviously intelligent about it. They're not
Yeah.
just feeding what they obviously have a level of understanding. Or
Well,
consciousness.
I mean, that depends. Like, they might not understand.
Well, think of this as a tactician. When I'm going to go invade someone, I'm going to cut their communication off. I don't want them to know I'm coming.
Yes, yes.
Right?
But
so
it's
that's an intentional
like,
forethought to
They
do
don't.
so.
Do they know about chaos?
No.
Because that would be what decries
see
their
what you're
intelligence to
saying.
me.
I
Like,
see what you're saying,
they
yeah.
understand the warp as like a way they use like their sight. Maybe they don't even know what the warp is. They don't touch the warp. Like, not really. They don't use warp travel.
But they still.
They
use
do go
warp
in and out of
energy,
it.
though.
But
And-
I know it's a weird
It is
place
a weird-
that Nids are in.
Yeah, it's kind of the
I-
here and not here. In a
I
sense.
think we just always associate. Well, what do humans use the warp for?
Right.
That's the only way to use it, but that's not the only way to use it, right?
because they're
Yeah.
a completely other
If-
creature.
if you look at even the way Eldar use the warp and humans use the warp, it's
Vastly
different,
different.
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah, but it's like, but they definitely don't like understand chaos.
At least
I don't think they do,
in
'cause
our-
they're not affected
At least
by
we
it.
don't know, right? Again, this is
Yeah.
our speculation
Yeah.
of how we comprehend chaos. Maybe they do. Maybe they see it as whatever, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they just live comfortably with it.
Yeah.
And they just kind of float around and like, oh, these things are showing up, but I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm hungry, right?
Yeah.
it's possible.
but
Yeah. Anything else we needed to say? About Tyranids?
I'm not sure.
They're coming, and they won't
This-
stop.
I don't know.
I had nothing else. I that went
We
over
call-
that went
yeah.
over our whole list. I think. I can't think of anything else that we missed. Really.
Yeah, like obviously there's still like tons
Oh,
of minor
sure.
details, but
Yeah. You want
that
to get
gives
into
you-
all the biomorphs?
Yeah,
Like,
that gives you a very good understanding. Like the key things to take away is the hive mind, and that it's most likely not a creature causing it. There's no hive king, you know.
At least that we know of. I
Yeah.
think it's a collective
Yeah.
movement of all of them are organisms moving.
it's
forward.
Yeah.
pretty damn clear
It's a colony.
that it's a collective.
I know. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I just said. There isn't one, but there could be one. We don't know.
Games Workshop could change the lore,
They could,
but as
they-
it stands,
As it stands,
It
as
is a
of the date of this
collective.
recording, it is a collective. It may or may not stand in the future.
or maybe not,
now
In
you're
fact,
just
everything
saying
we
this.
just spoke about may or may not even exist. Who knows?
because it all comes. Yeah, whatever. It all comes from what the Imperium thinks about them.
Yeah.
So,
This is
who
the thing.
knows?
This is
Who
all
knows?
from the eyes of the Imperium. We
Yeah.
don't have a connection to the hive mind, so we don't know.
Yeah, but
Unless you're cultist and you won't talk to the Imperium. So
yeah. So that's one takeaway. And the Nids, they travel in hive fleets, and their sole purpose is to feed and grow, as most things' purposes is. All
Yeah,
I
but they have
want-
no
all I
higher
wanna do
desire.
is eat. I don't either.
Well, yeah, you do. Like like you desire happiness.
No, I just want
Why?
food.
Why do you play?
just want that mouth
Why do you play
pleasure.
40K?
Because we order pizza. It's a good way to get free pizza every Thursday.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I know. The truth comes out. Yeah. And yeah, they're like basically a bug creature. Like they're yeah.
Like if you as soon as you Google them, you understand like how
Yeah.
it's so hard to describe them.
Yeah.
everything is shrouded in mystery in a sense.
No, I would just go look and see all the different kind of varieties that they have. Anyways, I think that touches off our main topic.
Yeah.
And let's step into our after discussion. All right, so for this after topic on the Tyranids, we're gonna go into a lot more of like what isn't the prescribed lore. Obviously, it's more of our ideas and our thoughts on what's going on with this race. So we did kind of talk about in the beginning about how like first contact is like M41, 741, but technically they've been in our galaxy for much longer than that.
Yeah. Apparently there was a bioship discovered in M35 or somewhere in that range on a planet, and it was just like it was just like a hibernating bioship, like
I believe so. I think it's just like frozen in the ice that they found on the planet.
yeah.
And it leads to the theory that potentially the hive fleets may have salted the galaxy with maybe other such kind of bioships or caches of organisms throughout the galaxy, which
Well, it like if
It's a
they're,
possible
obviously they're not
theory.
from our galaxy, so like they spread and they spread like
Yeah.
it's just an errand ship, right?
Maybe,
Like,
yeah. maybe.
I think
maybe.
that's what that is more an
Just like a
example
random
of.
crashing of an organism
Yeah.
that kind of got off the beaten path.
Yeah, because it just like Tyranids are known for salting is the word you chose, salting spots before they invade, but they already have a very structured way that they do it. Gene stealer cults.
Yeah, that's
Like-
true. That's true.
So then maybe this ship was originally a ship that just like flew into the galaxy like thousands of years before the rest of the fleet and literally just like was dropping off gene stealers everywhere.
Yeah, it's
maybe that's
possible.
what it was doing.
Yeah,
but like
the Girls were, the Girl gene stealers, they were around for sure. They
Yeah.
had contact with these creatures.
yeah, but like I don't think it was anything beyond that or any other like I think it's not a common thing. And I don't think
No.
they were trying to like send little mini hive fleets in. Like it just doesn't seem like Nids to send like a little mini hive fleet
One
in,
thing.
one thing in,
Yeah.
and then like yeah, it just seems odd. But I could go for like that. The purpose of that ship was to spread a bunch of gene stealers.
Yeah,
everywhere.
it's a suicider, right? It had
Yeah.
no desire to get back to the fleet. The whole
Yeah.
thing is just sporing, and then it fills its purpose and it dies.
yeah, exactly. I could see that.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. And for all we know, like the only reason I wouldn't say that is because that was 7,000 years ago. It does not take that long for a gene stealer cult to like take over an entire planet. Like if it takes more than like a couple hundred years,
Yeah.
right? That would be so surprising.
Yeah.
So at that point, like we'd have had like planets for 5,000 years.
That's true.
That
They
have
had
been,
cults on them.
gene
Yeah.
stealers.
but we would have known
Infested.
about gene stealers
Yeah.
all the time. So
Yeah.
like it's possible, and it's also possible that a lot of them weren't on human planets.
Yeah.
So
Another point of this ship could be like so in M30, the Pharos explodes, draws the Tyranids' attention. Then instead of directing the entire hive fleet towards that, they just sent out one ship that just flew
Or a
to
couple or whatever. Yeah.
like you would only literally need well I guess you would do a couple but you only need like a couple to go to the galaxy and be like yeah there is food, then they send a message back, those ships die out
And then you
As
get the
they
rest
wait.
of it comes.
as they wait.
Oh, yeah.
Like and once again they're just like a
Scouts.
sacrificial scout unit just to make sure that like that blip,
That indeed is what we're sensing.
yeah
possible. It's just that like the ship itself is not described as like a particularly fast or anything.
Yeah.
Like it's
like
not a
typical-
narval.
Yeah, it's just a typical bioship.
Right. So like the only way to travel faster than like the Tyranids, like the regular ships, is the narval. So
Yeah.
you'd have to send one of those. I don't know. It's possible.
I just don't see it like as an I don't see it as an active attempt like well the Tyranids have tried to invade
Right.
before.
Exactly.
Like I just don't see it
I
as
see it
like,
more of an accident.
yeah or a scout like just double checking that the
Yeah.
galaxy is populated, but I don't think like well they came and we fought them off or anything like that or
No.
Because there would
Well,
you-
mega arachnids.
oh that's enough out of you.
Here's the thing, though. Like, we would have found other signs of struggle, right? Like you
Yeah.
said, we would have already have had contact. Some species,
Yeah, and like-
somewhere in the galaxy, would have already had we fought these things in X date.
Yeah,
or
and like
whenever.
the Eldar have been around
Right,
since
they
the
would have
beginning.
known.
They would have known, and
Someone would have been like, "Oh yeah, we know what these things are. This is
Yeah,
what you got to do to
exactly.
kill them." Right. So because they're so foreign, then I think that theory holds water because if you send a few scout ships and whoop-de-doo, right? Like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, this is confirmed. This is where we're headed next, right?
yeah. I don't see anything beyond that. But it is worth noting that
They were in our galaxy before
Beforehand,
M41.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one. Now, this one is going to be pure conjecture. Like, what do you think is, like, if there is any other purpose for the hive mind beyond just, eating, what do you think it is? Like, do you think there's another purpose?
no,
No?
like
I'm trying to think of that. Like
the purpose of most things is just to reproduce and grow. Like, really,
what if it's just trying to?
Yeah, but there's no sustainability in what they're doing.
Yeah. So like, what if?
there
like,
is so
wouldn't
the galaxy, the universe is infinite.
But there's
so
never a guarantee that there's more life.
if it happens. So there's two
probability.
things. Well, yeah. So
But it's a
either
little short-sighted.
Sure, but isn't everything short-sighted? Like,
Well, no, because the whole point of like what humanity is trying to do is just trying to build like something that will last and that will endure.
yeah, and
right?
then
He's
so
trying
they
to
conquered
just-
the entire galaxy. Then they're like, well, now we need to go conquer another galaxy. Everything.
Well, you don't need to conquer. Like
Nobody needs to do anything. We don't need to even conquer our galaxy. There's no need for anything.
But the Tyranids.
Ultimately, either
yes,
you're
you
a
do.
nihilist and nothing has any meaning whatsoever.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
well,
you need to be able to protect your own interest. Like, sure, nothing matters, but I can kill you, and that's fine.
Why does it matter?
Yeah, why does it matter?
You don't have any desire to live.
The discussion
Why
is
would I? Either
twofold.
nothing
Well,
matters.
then kill yourself. You're wasting precious resources that I want to use.
Okay.
Bye.
See ya.
No, see,
But
that's dumb.
That's nihilism at work, though, right?
No, but
it is. No
one
because-
actually thinks that, because if you're truly,
I actually
if
think
you
that,
truly think
though.
like that, you wouldn't waste your time.
No,
here.
because it's still fun.
So you do have a desire. Your desire for fun outweighs your desire to get rid of yourself.
No matter what fun I have, though, in my lifetime means nothing. In the end, when I'm dead, doesn't matter. It's all for naught.
But legacy matters.
no, it doesn't.
No, so there's only
Nothing
you're a
matters.
nihilist. So there's only two sides to the coin. You're either a nihilist, which you literally believe nothing matters,
'Kay.
or you're a theist and you believe that there is a purpose to life. There's the only two options in the 40K universe, where we're talking specifically. I think that it's a nihilistic universe. In that universe, nothing matters. Chaos for the sake of chaos, and the Devourer for the sake of the Devourer. So in that universe, I think
Or
there is-
life for the sake of life.
Yeah, so in that case, you just keep growing and
Yeah.
growing and spreading yourself because
Yeah.
the universe is infinite.
Yeah.
Right.
So-
but what you were saying is that there's no point for humanity, but there are, because there are enemies. Like, there are people, like, you can't control what someone else does, but if someone wants to destroy humanity, you roll over and you die, or you want life for the sake of life, so you have to protect and defend what you have.
Yeah, but I don't need to constantly be expanding, which is what everything tries to do.
Right, but like the Tyranids are doing it in an unsustainable way, because humanity goes to a planet, they take it over, and then they start to, they build their cities and
I
they
know what you're
farm
saying.
their planets. Whereas a Tyranid, they take over that planet and it's done. There's no more potential for growth on that planet. Whereas they could farm.
But it doesn't matter in a galaxy that is infinite.
Because there's meanings like there's always
There's
something else.
but there is no guarantee that there is something else outside. There is no guarantee. There is
No,
only
absolutely
probable.
not. But even if you live in the most sustainable way, you're
It's still not guaranteed.
it's not sustainable. Nothing is
But it
sustainable.
will last longer.
Doesn't matter though.
But isn't that what the whole thing is? Is to survive for as long as possible?
no.
That is
It's to
exactly what we
eat.
declared what the Tyranids are doing. Well,
It's just to eat
So that
and to
means-
grow.
But
That's-
then
that's
their
about
growth
survival.
their growth will stop. That is
No, because
short-sighted.
the galaxy is infinite.
The galaxy is not. The
ga- or,
universe
I mean, the
is,
inf- the
but
universe-
there's never a guarantee, and that to me is short-sighted of the Tyranids.
Sure, whatever. Galaxies or the universe is infinite though, so doesn't matter how many planets they consume. There's
there's-
always an infinite amount.
There's an
more.
infinite amount of space, but there's not an infinite amount of planets. There's not
Yeah.
an infinite amount of galaxies.
Yeah.
No, they are not constantly growing more. There is a finite
No,
amount.
the universe is constantly
Oh my gosh.
expanding, guy.
No.
The volume and the space that the universe takes up is expanding, but the number of planets in it, there is a specific amount.
Of
They are-
infinite amount.
No!
Okay,
Infinite.
sure.
You can't comprehend the number. Doesn't mean it's
Okay,
finite.
sure,
Fascinating how this
absolutely.
turned into
There's a
cosmology.
trillion planets.
o-
Sure.
the o-
To me,
the
that
only-
is
the
infinite.
There is X number of
There
planets.
is, yeah.
But that
I
means
know,
at some
sure.
point.
Okay, I concede, Eric.
At
You win.
at
I
some-
agree. At some point, the Nids will completely devour
And then they'll die.
everything. Sure, and I can say that for everything. Everything is gonna die. Doesn't matter when. Everything's gonna die.
Right, but
like,
it would
what's
last
the point of this
longer.
Who cares though? It's not like Nids
Because that's
exist-
their purpose, is
No,
to last-
it's not like humans where I want to last as long as I can because I enjoy life. They don't enjoy a god that has
they
no.
hate life.
They have no
Well,
need.
there is
They
no
have
need
no
for it.
emotion.
Yeah,
They have
they
no
don't need
feeling.
to set up an economy
They're just
or a government
Yeah,
or a
like-
system. They just eat.
But
yeah.
That's them enjoying life, though.
Yeah.
Do they?
that's
enjoy
them
that, though?
fulfilling their base instinct.
Yeah.
When you
Sure.
fulfill your base instinct, you enjoy it.
I know,
Well-
but it doesn't matter. It does irrelevant. Next question.
Yeah,
'Cause
I
it doesn't
think,
matter.
I think that the point is, I think it's like a virus that just does what it does and it moves on, right? A virus doesn't sit there and be like, "Oh, am I enjoying wrecking this body that I'm infiltrating?"
Yeah,
right now?"
do I,
okay,
do I only
yeah,
want to make
'cause-
him cough once a day, and that way I can make him cough 1,000 times over his lifetime?
But here's where I think this is important to figure out. Because
Sure.
if you believe that they have a purpose, to me, that would speak of a higher intelligence.
I don't believe they have a purpose. I don't believe anything has a purpose. Besides what purpose you give yourself. to the Nids.
So what
their
purpose have the
is
Nids given themselves?
Just to feed and grow.
So
Same
they,
with everybody
so that means
else.
But that is a purpose.
They are slave to that
your-
purpose.
yes.
So that means nothing they do has anything beyond that. So that means they
Yep.
don't form like why. That means everything they do is random for the purpose of this. That means they are distracted. That the Pharaohs and that whole thing, their attraction to the Astronomicon is bullshit. Then
Yeah. All doesn't matter.
all it is
Nothing matters.
Then why do they bother moving? Right? Like why do
To
they,
grow and feast.
No, I'm saying why do they bother moving like in the galaxy? Like they've stretched so far.
the reason why
Have they
they keep
destroyed
moving-
every
yes.
single world
Yes.
in their path?
Yes.
No.
How so?
McCraig.
Yeah, there are planets that they go
Okay.
around.
So what?
Sure.
They just then they're like, we don't need that food. But
That-
their whole purpose
that
is to
or,
live.
That or they've
Path of least resistance.
yeah, that or they deem like, we can't take that planet yet. Or the main fleet is going forward, pushing, and it's like, well, that planet, it's not a threat, and if we run out of resources, we can take that planet. When we want it.
If we run out of resources, if we can no longer afford
Like-
to sustain our armies, then we can go for a harder planet.
No.
take-
Then you go for a planet that you've avoided, like because there could be two types. There could be that simple agri world where it's just like a quick. It's
So
like
that is not just base desire. That is tactical thought.
Sure,
And to
everything has.
me-
Sure, whatever, Eric. This question's fucked. It's fucked. Like we
You're
don't know.
ju-
No, we don't know what the Nids think, man. Like
I'm asking what you think,
and I'm thinking just like everything else. Nothing has a purpose, but they decide that their purpose.
humanity
is to
has
eat.
no purpose.
No, nothing has a purpose, man.
Then just join chaos.
Sure, some people should. Why not?
Why
But-
wouldn't everyone if nothing has a purpose?
Because some people don't like. Once
do
again,
you have a purpose, Mark?
No, I don't. My life is meaningless.
Just kill yourself.
No, because there are parts of my life that I
that have
enjoy.
meaning.
Meaning and
That
purpose
is
are
meaning.
different.
I think they're inextricably linked.
They are linked, but they're not the same thing.
You can't have meaning and not have purpose. Because if your life has meaning, it means you found your purpose.
Not necessarily.
Okay, what would be the distinction? Give me something that has meaning but no purpose.
Warhammer has meaning to me, has no purpose.
It does have a purpose.
What
because
purpose does it have?
You work so you can buy Warhammer. That is your purpose.
It's pleasure.
You have a house so you can have a place to have Warhammer.
Yeah.
You feed yourself.
Does that contribute in any way to anything
it
besides
makes your
me?
life living. Because if
Yeah,
if
exactly. But does it matter in the end?
But if you
no,
didn't,
it doesn't matter.
If you didn't work and
Yeah.
if you didn't have a place to live,
Yeah.
if you didn't have a car,
Yeah.
you could not do Warhammer.
Yeah.
So your purpose for all of those things is Warhammer,
But what Mark
which is
says at
what the
end of
meaning
it-
it
But at
gives
the
you.
end of it, it doesn't matter.
because it's all plastic.
Or someone like your son,
Yeah.
you could pass all of that onto
Sweet.
him.
And then he will die, and it won't
Right,
matter.
and then he can collect more, and he can
and none
share-
of it matters.
he can
though.
share
At
the love
end,
of-
none of it matters.
He can share his
because
love
when
of
I'm dead, I'm
Warhammer.
gone, and nothing else matters.
Right. So you but do you not understand that
I
your
know
love and your meaning of Warhammer you can share to other people?
Yeah, and I do that constantly.
Cool. So
'Cause
then
I get free pizzas on Thursday.
Right. But so now you've collected a certain amount of Warhammer. I come in and I contribute to the Warhammer and we
Yeah.
make our Warhammer fun grow. It's exponential.
Yeah.
Right? Because you have X amount of fun with yourself, but you have way more when I'm there.
Yeah.
Right? Or when Christian's there or someone else is there. So you can actually grow it, and by growing the hobby,
Yeah.
you're building a legacy, and your child can inherit everything that you did, and they can add to it. That is
Not having children, because that would be fucked.
all I'm saying is that like you're arguing this, but I think it's a really dumb argument.
What? That nothing matters at the end?
Like
That's the argument. Nothing matters. Can you say that things matter? No.
I
The only
do
matter-
think that things matter.
Only- the only
Because you're
things that
made
matter-
of matter.
Oh.
Ah, that was a good pun.
The only things that matter are the things that you deem to matter.
matter, which is
and the
nothing,
Nids
really.
deem eating to matter.
So
that's
if,
all
if-
they want.
If all they did was that,
Yeah.
then they would go for something like what? How can they?
No, because you can still have, like, okay, so my purpose is to get Warhammer.
Yes.
Right? I could do this shitty electrical job and I can get more Warhammer, or I could go work at Games Workshop and get less Warhammer because my income would not be as much. Same goes for Planet. They could go and get this planet
that-
because it would
okay,
be easier.
yes.
They could get more
absolutely.
matter.
But I also think that speaks to a higher level of intelligence.
I'm not saying they're not intelligent. I'm very intelligent, but nothing matters to me. Like, that doesn't... It has nothing to do with my intelligence level.
So
Like,
do
you can
think
be
that-
intelligent. There are...
Do you think that everything that you do, like if you've claimed that your one purpose is Warhammer,
Yeah.
and so every single thing that you do is with Warhammer,
Yeah.
false.
Oh no, I don't claim that. That's just the thing that I enjoy doing.
Does every single thing that the Nids do, is it feeding?
Yeah, and
Essentially,
expansion.
Yeah. For the Tyranid race, its specific purpose is expansion and feeding the race. That's it. That's all they're for.
Yeah,
And yet sometimes they don't get to do that.
Because
And they
for
just
reasons.
and they just
'Cause they-
abandon it.
because they are intelligent still. No one's saying they're not intelligent, and no one's saying that they're driven solely by their base desires.
yeah,
Well, then what other desire is it?
complete control. Maybe the expansion of the hive mind to take over more parts of the warp. Like I don't know. We just. Can't
This is what
answer
I'm
that.
saying. Like, what do you think?
I don't think they have any
The
desire
only
other than
feasible,
for feeding.
the only way that I would say, the only way that I'd think that the hive mind has any purpose would be to expand its powers throughout the entire galaxy, to have complete
Yeah,
control.
and then it would just cave on itself.
Sure,
Yeah.
or it would just be the being that takes it all, right?
Yeah. But then, like, well,
they're
Because
just-
in the universe,
it's fuel. They consume all the fuel, and then
right.
they're
But
done.
in the 40k universe, right, there's like the chaos gods, there's all these beings and entities that are of the supernatural realm, so to speak, in the warp. So all these beings and things would want to eventually, I'd say, push one another around until one guy comes up on top, right? That's the only way I can understand it from that perspective in the 40k universe.
but I don't think Nids care about coming
No.
out on top at all.
yeah,
Like
I would
they're not
think-
prideful.
No, and I don't think
No.
it's out of pride. I think it's just out of
They don't
out
wanna
of-
dominate.
But see,
Yeah,
here's the
they don't
thing.
wanna
No, but
dominate.
here's the thing. In evolutionary theory, at least within the 40k universe, in our real world, we see it, and how it would be in the 40k
There is a
universe.
distinction between the two.
There are, for sure. Yeah,
are.
this is not a real
As
world we're
much, as, much
talking
as you
about.
giggle.
Well, no.
So-
What's funny is the evolution didn't exist, doesn't exist in 40k because humanity was seeded.
No, that you still evolve. Evolution still very much
Yeah.
exists.
We were seeded by the.
We like humanity wasn't seeded though. Like,
Yeah, it was.
No, I know what you're saying. Yes, but the old ones did not go to a planet, drop off a human being, or seed a human being. They
Oh,
still.
I see what you're saying.
Like evolution still
Yes.
exists.
Yeah.
Yes.
So in
just
that-
not from nothing.
Yeah.
Like we know the source, and the source are gods. Quote unquote.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like, where did the old ones
Little
come
G,
from?
little
Like,
G,
where
not
they-
a capital G.
they evolved, like,
And that's
yeah,
a big problem that happens in both
knows?
universes. Of the question is like,
Yeah.
what made what made what. But in the case of the 40k universe, I think there are these entities, and somehow that the hive mind would want to exert its control just because in the evolutionary theory, the one that comes out on top is the one that survives. So it wipes out every threat to itself.
Yeah, but-
out of a
But
self-defense. Right?
But if that was the point, then you go back to Eric. Like, then they should not be devouring planets because that is limited.
how's that
And-
limited though? Because you're taking
Well-
control and taking resources away from your opponent or the other things
Like,
out there.
because then
it's
one-
kill or be killed.
If it was a
right?
war, if it was
Yeah.
a campaign, then yes, you're right. You want to limit your enemy. But the thing about when humanity does it, they go back and then they use those resources, right?
Fair
They're going to
enough.
farm and feed
Fair
their things.
enough.
A Tyranid's going to do it if he's like, I'm going to stop this. I'm going to kill the agri world because I know it's going to lessen the human.
Right.
But they're going to just destroy it. And then they can't go back and reuse those resources later after
Right.
they've won the war.
Right.
They literally have to leave. Like their campaign cannot ever end.
Yeah.
Because if ever they stop, they die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
So
If ever,
a self-feeding campaign that like you just
yeah,
the whole purpose is to eat and
they
fuel yourself
can't,
to
They can't
expand.
afford to stop.
Yeah,
Because if
exactly,
they
yeah.
ever stop, they'll
They'll
stop.
die.
As far as we know. So
As far as we
consider
know, too,
this.
yeah, that's
consider this. So, they've come from another galaxy. They conquered that whole galaxy. Before they left, like Tyranids have the ability to grow things, like even non-sentient things, like capillary towers. Or if you look at like when they invade planets, they start to make like toxic plants, and like they start to do like they have the ability to grow.
It's true,
life.
yeah.
So when they left, they before they left like their growing portion of the fleet behind. Then they went and they grew all the planets back the way that they wanted them to be.
It's possible.
Like,
but
it's silly to think.
The way they do their planet destruction, where they destroy the atmosphere.
But if they could maybe make it, like we don't know the
It's true.
and
They
the other
have
thing is
all the
maybe
they create themselves.
Hold.
They
and
survive
maybe
in space.
maybe they don't even need an atmosphere.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, they could just live in space.
that, which there are hive ships that
Yeah.
live in
Yeah.
space. Like they don't technically. I'm not saying that.
No, it's not an impossible thought. I just think
So
it's
then they
not
grow-
very likely.
No, me either.
Yeah.
But like the whole, it's Nids. We have no solid answers. Like
yeah.
Yeah.
The only proof that we know, or the only ideas we know about them, is that they are constantly feeding. But what they've done to other galaxies, we have no idea.
Right.
Like I said, they could have their own culture and stuff. Like, and all we've seen is
it's
their
just
warriors.
the war.
Yeah, but like the other galaxies that they've conquered could be entirely peaceful with like maybe they're run by gene stealers, and like gene stealers are highly intelligent and they're like painting, and you know what I mean?
Sure, yeah,
like,
they actually have a society.
but like they literally take the entire galaxy over before
First.
they show this side of them.
Right, and it's possible.
It's possible, and
Yeah.
I kind of could almost like that idea if it wasn't so human.
Yes,
That's
it is
the
very
problem.
And you know what? Games Workshop has been like going away from like the mindless
Swarm.
like no thought beyond destruction. And the only reason I say that is because of Necron.
Yeah.
Right? Like they
Trying
had
to create a richer story.
Yeah.
Yeah, something with a little more flavor to it.
I think
and the
that's
Tyranids aren't very flavorful.
No.
When you come
No, they're
when it comes down to who they are.
base, right? They're basic. They're just very,
But I think that more comes down to the two sides of the Games Workshop coin. That's the profit side. They made Necron personable, so people enjoy Necron more,
Yeah.
so they sell more.
yeah.
Yeah.
Where
And they already look humanoid. It's easy to start giving them personalities.
Where bugs already have like a solid draw. Like kids love bugs growing up. Well, not all kids, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
there's people
a-
who get obsessed with bugs.
Yeah.
Like that's its own draw.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
But yeah, whatever. I don't know.
I got a little heated.
That's fine.
Real quick, real fast.
Okay.
Ever there's ever an episode that I hope my mother listens to, it was that 5-minute rant about me going on about the meaningless of life. That would be sweet. Because I'd get a text like, "Hey son, everything okay? Do you want to talk about your Lord and Savior Jesus?" It'd be enjoyable. 'Cause I love trolling her.
That would not be enjoyable.
It would be great.
all.
The one night,
I would not enjoy that.
the one night, me, Eric, and my parents were at my parents' house, and we were just hanging out in the hot tub, just doing adult things or whatever. And
That sounded really bad.
almost, I suppose. Well, I don't know, like doing grown-up things, like
That's better.
hanging out, having conversations,
thing.
just
There
like
we go,
yeah,
okay.
you know. We were just being adults,
Yes.
doing
Absolutely.
XXX adult things.
As
in a hot tub.
example.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Glad we clarified that one.
I don't even know where I was going with this. Something.
It's just the conversation that we have is interesting.
Oh,
Just the
yeah.
belief differences.
Yeah, because I just always will say things just to upset them.
Because you know how to push their buttons.
Anyway.
Okay, let's go to the next question. And this is like where we can actually deviate a little bit from the lore. And what do you
More
think?
so than we have already.
Right, exactly. What do you think the hive mind is? So we know like what Games Workshop has put forward as like the most accepted understanding of the hive mind, but maybe not only what do you think it is, but what do you think it could be? Like, what do you think would be a cool idea for the hive mind?
The thing that would make most sense would be a massive, big thing that's driving them all, right? From our real world examples of like colonies and bees and queens, right? It'd be like some massive creature that can't be stopped or can be or whatever.
It would have to be so big.
Oh yeah, I'm talking like a galaxy huge, like literally like as big as in a galaxy. Like it would just come in and all the galaxy would be just black because it's so massive. So that's my thoughts of like that'd be kind of cool, like this massive, infinitely.
It's funny because I know exactly what he's picturing. He's picturing like a shadow falling over the galaxy, but light comes from within the galaxy, so it wouldn't be black
I know that.
at all.
I know that.
Well,
I understand
It would
that.
block out light from other galaxies.
Yeah, but like
But
what
your sun is what creates the
exactly,
most
yeah.
light.
But what I'm saying is, it's so massive that it would like block out some of the solar system's on light because of the stars. You know what I mean? Because it just fills that much space in my head. But
I was picturing it in my head too, and I
Yeah,
know
yeah,
exactly
yeah.
what you're going for it, but it just was
If
funny.
something was that massive, though, it would just destroy galaxies because of the gravitational pull.
that's true.
So much
It just
mass.
instead of sending
Somebody
a fleet,
make a
it
mom
would just
joke,
be
somebody make a mom
itself,
joke.
right?
What's
Just
that?
like
Your mom has so much mass.
There we go.
Maybe that's what the like Tyranid hive mind is like this huge mass that just like sucks
Yeah.
in galaxies.
And all they're doing right now is just like it's like a splinter of a splinter of a splinter of
Yeah.
a splinter,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all they do is go create life, and then they bring it back to the
I
big
honestly
hive
go
mind.
back to like a virus, right? I just think it's a virus in the galaxy that just won't go away, and it'll just keep.
They are kind of
affecting it,
virus-like.
right? They just once they're infiltrated, they're in there, and it's like, oh crap! Now I got to. It's like having a cold that will never go away. You're always coughing, always sick. You feel gross because you're always sick.
And the cold is trying to kill you.
Well, yeah, sure, but
and
Never had that before.
Absorb your body. Yeah.
yeah.
Mark.
What do I think it is?
Yeah.
No idea, man.
Oh, come on, you cop out.
What would be really funny is like one gaunt.
One gun.
You know what I mean? A single gaunt that
God.
held it all together and no one can find him.
Yeah.
Of the billions of gaunts out there, he's just sitting there being like, yes.
That would be hilarious.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
What about this? This is not what I believe, but it's just another crazy idea. What if the Nids were made by something, and the hive mind is like their creator? So from another galaxy. Did you have your hand up? Oh. Yeah,
in my hand.
and they're just created and for the purpose of war, so they could expand the galaxy or devour resources. So maybe the one galaxy that they're from is running low on resources, but like I'm just gonna say this from a human point of view because it'll be easier to get the point across. But I'm not saying that humans are in another galaxy. But let's say humanity, right? We've started to run low on all the planets or all the resources in our galaxy. So we create a life form to go to other galaxies, harvest those galaxies' resources, and then bring them back to our galaxy.
Energy.
Right? So like the creator is actually this other race that isn't even Tyranid, mind you. But
They
the
just created
Tyranids
the perfect race for it.
Yeah.
And then they have their whole typical like, all the creation turns against its creator.
What? No.
No.
No. He like humanity has sent the Tyranids outside of the other galaxy, like their go spread farm, and when you're full, come back, bring all this
I see what you're
biomass
saying.
that you've
I see what
absorbed,
you're
and
saying.
we will
Take
absorb it all,
I see what
and
you're
we
saying.
can make energy
So they're a
out
tool
of it.
of the creator to get their
Yes. Yeah,
biomass from the other
So they're just
galaxies.
sent to other galaxies to harvest the
It's a
galaxy.
curious thought.
Yeah, like
So then the hive mind is that other race?
yeah, the
Yeah.
hive mind is like the other race, and like maybe it's a highly psychic race.
Well,
or
they'd have to
something.
be.
Yeah.
Like
That's an interesting theory.
It would give credence to the fact that like Tyranids themselves, even though they touch the warp so much, like still don't like interact with chaos
Yeah.
on any
Yeah.
level,
Yeah.
right?
yeah. So that's
Because it could almost be like a failsafe is like built into the Tyrannids.
So it wouldn't
like,
get
yeah.
involved with the warp, so it can
Yeah.
keep its mission clear. Yeah.
yeah.
That is an interesting thought.
There's an idea for you. Now I've given you two very thought-provoking ideas.
What's
I-
the first one?
I honestly
What was
think
the first one? It was about that Nids back on planets they like recolonize galaxies
yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
That one's not as cool.
recreate
But
there. No, I honestly think there's one Gaunt out there that controls it all. I can't find
Just
it.
a gaunt.
Yeah.
what do you think, Eric?
Well,
Oh boy.
let me tell you. I think it is impossible to to use so much psychic energy and not attract chaos. Like, chaos is much more like, you talked before about the moth to the flame analogy for the Tyranids. Chaos is way more that way when it comes to psychic energy.
Yeah.
Like, when something like pops up in the work, like they go to that thing so quickly. So if all of a sudden there is a race out there that uses so much psychic energy that like a regular psyker can't even penetrate through it, like that is a lot of activity on the warp, which would attract chaos
Like crazy.
like crazy. So, and the reason I think maybe that we don't see it is maybe they have protection in the warp.
So you think Chaos made him?
Not necessarily, but I do think that the hive mind is a little more malevolent than what we think. I think it's not unbelievable that there is like a power in the warp, maybe not a chaos god,
But
right?
another being.
But another
Yeah.
being that is like, it's like so we say it's like the collective will of the whole race, but like the collective will of humanity created corn. Maybe not the will, but their rage created corn in like the Middle Ages. The collective, what the Eldar were doing created Slanesh. So maybe what the Tyranids were doing created this collective being that is now running them from the warp. And all the hive mind is, it's not one particular Tyranid, but it's actually a being in the warp that's directing their steps. And to me, like, it makes way more sense because I never really could grasp the fact that the Tyranid are
no purpose, in a
nothing.
sense, sorry.
They're nothing beyond.
Their purpose. Or
Yeah, like and I get that's like all that Games Workshop has put forward,
Right,
and like
right.
that's the story. But I would like to see like something
That would be-
leading their steps.
That would be interesting because then, in a sense, it would be playing behind the scenes
Yes.
up in the warp, and it just kind of has its own.
Yeah, like maybe not even a god,
Yeah.
just like a being who he was formed, or it was formed by this will, this psychic energy, and now it's kind of directing
Its own
itself.
consciousness, in a sense,
Right.
in the warp. Interesting.
I'm just trying to think that why would a being want that though? Like, yes, like what?
It doesn't want it.
Just
It was born
Yeah,
to
yeah,
want
just
it.
like I know, but
just like Slanesh is born to
I
do
know.
things, and yeah,
I'm just trying to
it's
think
it's
that-
definitely a cop out for like I
Yeah,
think
it ties up a lot of news
because
ends,
exactly
but-
it's so simple to be
Yeah.
like, oh, it's a warp being, and the reason it does this is because that's all the emotion that was poured into it, right?
Yeah, it just seems weird, but I have no I have no argument against it. It just seems weird.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, if you had a very like bestial race in one galaxy that just constantly fed, they potentially would make this hunger god
yeah. Oh, exactly, like a
that-
hunger god. Yeah.
that essentially
It just
Devourer.
drives them. It just drives them to feed and
Great
feed.
Devourer.
and the more they feed, the more powerful that god
Yeah.
gets, which means the more power it has to extend over the Tyranids below it.
Yeah.
Vice versa feeds itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a
That does
self-evolution
make
snowball.
some sense, and we just can't ever know because it's the warp, and any psyker that ever gets close is like
Yeah, they just
can't
can't
take it.
handle it.
So we just don't know if there's
Sure.
a being that's kind of shadowing right on top as they're moving in the real.
No, and to me, like that would be the shadow in the warp. Like you try and like, because this being would follow the Tyranids in the immaterium, like
I had a
everywhere it
theory
can.
about that. Like I do remember thinking a long time ago of like some crazy being that like is the overmind, the hive mind, right? That being itself emits this energy into the real world, and it like drives the force.
I also
of
like the
hive.
idea that like you can't actually destroy it.
Yeah, like it's
Right,
impossible.
and then I would also think like, oh, he'll just move on. Like, if for some reason all the Tyranids get destroyed, like he would just
do something else.
he'll just find another race that like fits like the desire, like a very voracious, warmongering race,
Yeah.
and he'll just impress his will
Yeah.
upon them to the
And
point
it'll
of where
become the
all
new-
they want to
yeah.
do is feed.
Here's my only counter that I've thought of now.
Yeah.
So if it is a warp being, why would the other Chaos Gods not know about it?
Well, I would assume they do know about it.
Why have they never mentioned it? Why is there never any mention of it?
Well, there are lots of gods in Chaos that aren't mentioned at all, right?
But they are minor. Where the size and scope of the Tyranids, they're not
True,
minor.
they're major players.
They are
so you would think they'd
huge,
show
like
up at some point.
devastatingly. Like honestly, like if Games Workshop was not running, like if Games Workshop's goal was not to constantly expand, Nids would wipe out the galaxy. Like that's what's gonna happen. Like if they ever actually expand the story the way
Right.
it
If they did a
should
logical
expand,
progression of the story, Tyranids would win.
yeah, and who knows how many galaxies they've
Unless
done
all the
this to
orcs band
before.
together.
Right, which you get
Even
the
then.
internal band of
Just kidding.
You're just trolling.
orcs and Nids.
If you make the ring of orcs around the
It's true, yeah.
But no, like so they've done this before because we know they have done this to one galaxy minimum, where they've eaten the entire galaxy.
Or they left. They were getting chased by something. But yeah,
which means like
they can't exist. Like they didn't come from space.
Exactly.
They came from somewhere.
yeah, and most likely they devoured that whole
Most
galaxy.
likely.
So to me, that statement alone makes it more powerful than the other
Than any other race.
than any other chaos god, even like because all that emotion of the destruction of an entire galaxy, like all that fed into it. You'd think that it would be the most powerful chaos god, so the other ones would know about it and be focused on it. It's not like Malal where it's like, well, it's a minor god, you know, like they don't really.
I maybe have a counter for that.
Sure.
So Slanesh is created by Eldar, who are
Yeah.
a very high functioning race.
Okay.
In like, yes, they were depraved and they did all these evil things, but they also had like other things in those emotions, and like Slanesh would be modeled after the Eldar.
Yeah.
Khorne, who's like created like through war and anger, there's a lot of things that actually go into war. Like we talked about before, there's also honor. and like martial law. So there's things beyond just battle that these other gods focus on. If this being, if all he is hunger, there's not necessarily anything beyond that for him. So maybe he's large and imposing, but he doesn't, like, he can't feed on the warp, right? He has to feed in the Immaterium. So he actually doesn't pose like that big of a threat, not a direct threat.
I see what you're saying.
Like he could be a threat to the point of where he'll destroy all the worshippers of chaos, but he also doesn't have any thought process beyond just hunger and feeding. Whereas Khorne, like, does have it, but he also contends against Chinch, who's tricksy, and Nurgle, who's constantly trying to gain followers through love. And
you just would think that
it would have
Chaos
been
Gods
mentioned at some
would
point.
have. Yeah,
someone somewhere would have heard of this threat.
And like Khorne's not going to stand by and let all his followers die,
right?
Especially like Slaanesh, like not going to let that happen. If there's no followers providing him pleasure, he eventually will fade away into nothingness.
Right,
So you'd think all the Chaos Gods would know about it, band together, but
they
who
don't.
knows?
But
Maybe,
also the Chaos Gods don't really enjoy banding together. The only time they've ever done it is with the Emperor.
Yeah, well, they do make alliances with each other, and then break them, and then make them
backstab each other, and
yeah. Maybe too, it's just such. Maybe just like since it's a warp being from another galaxy, maybe
it's so foreign.
It's so foreign, or even like there is actual distances in the warp. So maybe the hive mind warp god has not yet reached our galaxy, so the other gods have not quite noticed them. Like I know the warp is one of those weird things where it's like. There is time and space, but there isn't time and space. But everything happens.
That's a potential. It's just it hasn't materialized in their part of the warp, so to speak. So they don't have an idea.
Or the Tyranids, like they haven't done enough feeding to bring him forth.
Maybe,
it's an okay idea.
Maybe it's a transdimensional warp and, like real time being that like exists in both realms.
That could be possible too.
So that they're like, well, what the frig's going? Oh, that's just clouds over there. I don't know what that is, and they keep on doing their thing.
Kind of how like humanity has the Emperor, whereas these people would have hunger.
Yeah. So it's like this thing that materializes in the warp, but they're just like, oh, there's like a dark shade of what I don't care, and they go do their thing, and then like as time progresses, it's finally like, oh, it's here, frick. What is that?
It's the rift.
Right.
It's a giant mouth.
It's a giant. Ooh.
Eating.
Gonna eat everything.
Or maybe the warp is eating itself, and they don't.
Jordan, do you have any thoughts on what the hive mind is?
Not really. I did kind of wonder if there is a possibility we're all being duped and it was made in our galaxy.
The Emperor set them up.
Christian actually, I don't think he likes this idea, but he was telling me about it.
Okay.
Where the old ones made the Tyranids during like the War in Heaven, where they're fighting the Necron, as another one of their races that they tried to use as a tool. But they got out of control,
and they sent them away.
Oh, okay.
Like
that could also be.
It's a weird. I don't like it.
It's a cop out too, right? Because then again, it does explain a lot. I like the warp theory idea better because it's kind of interesting.
But like with like they kind of expand very quickly, right?
Yeah.
Like. I mean, conceivably, maybe like when they were first sighted in like the 35th millennium, maybe they were just like very, very small at that point, and then like within 5,000 years they were
just expanded.
Yeah,
because I mean, their invasions on Earth go fast, right? Yeah. On planets, 100 days. So maybe to actually collect their whole will of their fleet, it takes them thousands of years.
The old one, like the reason I think I could understand that one is because when the Necron Tur were still flesh. No, I don't get that one at all. You mean they created them specifically to fight in the war? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, then no. Because they were fighting against robots, and robots can't be ingested by the Necron.
Not the whole time, though.
Well, only when they were still Necron Tur, they were inconsequential to the old ones, and it wasn't even a war. They were right? So it was only when they became Necron.
Here's the other thing, like, they could have made the like they seeded a bunch of planets. They seeded one, turned out to be the Tyranids, and like, oh shit, we got to get rid of this like before it gets too big.
That's a potential.
Throw it out,
and then they put it away
and
out
it comes
into
back.
the void. And then when the Pharos blows up, it sucks them back in. But I don't know.
Why wouldn't you just destroy it?
Yeah, like.
It's a thought. I don't know. That one's a little easier to poke holes in.
I would have to talk to Christian more because I almost instantly shut him down when he said it.
So you didn't even listen to the full thing.
No, I often do not.
Yeah. Would Tyranids fight Necron?
Yeah.
Necron would
Yeah.
definitely fight Tyranid.
Yeah.
No, we talked about this. Like, there's the direct confrontation. Like, I'm fighting you because you're a Necron and I hate you. And then there's also the Necron are on a world that is heavily biomass. So the Necron are more fighting than. I mean, the Tyranids are more fighting
It's
the
a resource
Necron
war.
for the
Yeah.
resources, not so much because they
They're
hate the
beings.
Necron.
Yeah, but so if
Like
because the Necron don't require anything to live, so they could live on one of the husks of a world that the Tyranid leave behind.
Yeah, but so we know that the Necron like to be in charge and they like to
Yes.
have power over other races.
Yeah, we know that the Necron would fight the Tyranid.
Yeah.
So, but if like let's say
I see what you're saying.
The Tyranid, like
Yeah.
they leave a planet,
Yeah.
they go away, and then the Necron go back and they start
Just
to
take
like
it over.
they go
Yeah.
on that planet because they don't need an atmosphere, they don't
Yeah.
need anything.
Yeah.
Would the Tyranid like turn around and be like, oh my gosh, like
No.
I don't think.
Right.
I don't think they would.
No, they wouldn't.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing to eat from the Necron, and in of themselves, they're kind of like, oh, you're just okay, whatever.
so the Necron actually is like the proper counter to the Tyranid.
Yeah. So then the Necron and the Tyranid would coexist in some weird way in the galaxy.
the Necron,
Well,
at
the
least
Necron would
Zarek,
they would try to take it
hates
out. Yeah.
the Tyranid.
Yeah.
Maybe not hates, but
But
he
like doesn't want it.
He specifically like will go after Tyranids.
So then it would be like Necron and Tyranids trying to fight each other out. Then would be like kind of the
Could
end
be.
game.
I don't even see that happening.
Well, think about it, right? Like
No, I kn-
if
the
like you
Necron,
said,
the Necron just can they can grow some. No, sorry, the Tyranids can grow so much faster than the Necron.
it's true. That is true too. But like because the Necron can live on the husks of worlds, they don't need resources in that sense to keep fighting.
Yeah, but
Right.
they,
So-
they like the power over other races.
so
and
They
stuff.
want they want to reestablish their
Okay,
dynasty,
fair enough, yeah.
So yeah,
their empire.
Yeah,
Lord
Sure.
Vader.
that's still not technically correct, but
It's a dynasty.
yeah.
Okay, I have one more question on here, but we kind of
Exhausted him.
went into that one when we were yelling at each other.
Oh goodness.
What happens when the Tyranids consume everything in the galaxy? They leave,
Yeah.
Probably leave and find another galaxy. Or other.
or they just,
Yeah.
maybe they just wait.
Or wait, yeah.
Maybe they
go
just
hibernation.
like sit there and wait like for another
Millions, billions, thousands.
for another
hundreds.
bright light to go off, and
Yeah. Who knows?
who knows? Yeah, we have no idea if they were like on their way from another galaxy,
Or
or
they're
if they
running
were
from
just
something.
or if they were just outside in the
Stop it!
void. Yeah,
Yeah.
you never really know.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool though, if, like if there was some massive being that was both trans warp, right? It was in both, like this massive like being that kind of showed up, or a gaunt.
It's an okay idea. It's definitely not my favorite, but
I just would love to see a model like that, just like this massive like freaking like.
Oh, how could you model that?
no, I
That
know,
would
I know.
be-
Just me and my thoughts.
The gaunt would be easier to model. Just like this guy. This is the hive mind.
this guy right here.
Yeah. Anything else you want to chat about with Tyranids or?
With Tyranids, no, but I do got a rampage that I'd like to go on.
Is it Warhammer related?
It is Warhammer
Oh,
related.
Okay, sure.
So I was just reading about Chapter Approved, which fuck Games Workshop. They just milk you for every penny. Like,
Is that the link you just sent me?
yeah. But so for people who don't really know about the games side of it, like they released 8th edition and they released these what they call indexes, which are a stopgap measure for armies. So you had to buy all these indexes to play the game, and then they released codexes. So now you have to buy a codex if you want to
Right.
truly play.
So-
And now they're releasing Chapter Approved. So every year you have to buy another book so you can get the most up-to-date profile.
The
But-
index,
which sure,
the index kind of makes sense.
the index kind of makes sense. But here's the thing:
Yeah.
we already know Games Workshop is 3 years ahead in production.
yeah,
Like they have the codexes. They have a Necron codex right now.
just releasing it bit
They
by
do?
bit.
Like it's out there.
Yeah.
Like they're 3 years ahead.
Yeah.
They have it in their office right now. Somebody's probably reading it. You know what I mean?
Those
Like
bastards.
they could have released and once again, I get that it's a company and they're trying to make money. I can understand that. But
it's
there
not good for your wallet.
There comes a point where it's like EA and their microtransactions
it's
where
true.
it's like
Yeah.
stop fucking over the people that
Yeah.
try to support you. Like
Yeah.
I give my life to them. And what do they do? But so I do appreciate the Chapter Approved because they update points values for you and stuff. Apparently, it's not out. It's all still speculation. But
the chapter approved thing?
Yeah.
It looks pretty solid.
Well, yeah, like, but it's not out.
Oh, I see.
It's not released. And they keep hinting as to what's inside of it. And one of the big things is re-releasing points costs to balance the game, which I love that idea, because then how many times is there a unit where it's severely undercosted or overcosted?
Yeah, and you'd have to wait for the next codex
which
to come
could
out.
take
years.
Yeah. So I like that idea. What I don't like is what I read just not too long ago is in this book they have make your own land raider.
Yeah, I'm
and it's
just taking
like,
a look at that.
yeah, it has 16 hard points and you can put whatever you want on the land raider. And it's like, why the fuck is that not just in the codex? Why do you not just have a land raider profile? Like, why is that not in the codex? Why do I in the codex I have to make a land raider redeemer, a land raider Excelsior,
Crusader,
a crusade?
Yeah.
Why do they not just have land raider and have that chapter approved land raider that you can custom make in the codex?
Yeah,
it's just like
it's definitely a money grab.
I know, and I just
like so many things they do.
I know, and I'm just getting sick of how blatantly obvious a money grab it is.
And yet,
It's bad.
they're
And yet
gonna
people will
keep
buy it.
doing it.
Well, that or people stand up and tell Games Workshop what you want. Like, just like with EA and the whole microtransactions this last week, like the fans are like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, we're not playing to play a game after we've already bought the game. And EA within a week canceled all their microtransactions and said oh, we're sorry. We realize we have gone too far. And Games Workshop sometimes it's going too far.
Yeah, it is.
That's all my rant is.
Especially with transactions within a game, it's dumb to me to force someone to pay for the game.
Yeah.
That you've already
And
bought.
then now you have to pay to play it as I mean World of Warcraft.
And don't get me wrong, I realize Games Workshop is a company and they need to make money, and if we want the game to continue and to expand, they need it. But there is a happy medium between supporting your customers and their wallets so we can buy more products.
And just
It would
highway
be-
robbery.
It
Yeah,
would
'cause,
be
how
so
many
much more
times-
accessible if their books were open source.
Yeah.
And you could just download the code. Just
Sure.
think of how
Yeah,
accessible it would be,
yeah,
and
for
then
rules.
all you have
Yeah.
to do is buy
buy
the
their parts.
models.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
Right?
I constantly try to get people to play. I love Games Workshop. I'm the biggest
I'm the biggest fan.
No, I constantly try to get people into it. All three of you probably only play because of me. John, I know you played for a long time, but the only reason you're still playing is probably because of me, right? And often
Give yourself a pat on the back, Mark.
well, no, I'm just saying.
I'll do it for you.
Here's my point: is when I'm trying to get somebody into it,
It's so daunting.
yeah, it's so you want to play Warhammer? They're oh yeah, this is awesome. We play a couple test games, and oh yeah, let's go to the workshop and let's buy something. It's
I don't even want to take you there.
Yeah,
'cause-
here's the thing: are you ready to drop $500? I don't want you to waste your money.
Yeah. It's way too overwhelming.
Yeah,
either way.
Exactly.
a lot of the people we know as well, they buy one pack
And then
they
they
build it and they're oh man, how can I afford to do this for an entire army?
Yeah, it's great. You have 200 points of stuff now. You
Yeah.
need 2,000.
as well, you need to buy modeling
Yeah,
stuff. Now you're gonna have to buy terrain.
Yeah.
It is a
whole-
hobby and you need to get into it.
Yeah.
But there must be a way to make it more accessible.
Yeah. And they, once again, not to just shit on Games Workshop, they have taken a bunch of steps
To make it
to
friendlier.
make it
Yeah.
more friendly and more accessible. But at the same time,
starter
the
sets and
biggest
stuff.
thing that they're doing is just costing too much. It's too expensive for the normal person to get into. Regardless of how easy it is to now get into with the rule set
Right.
and the starter kits, it's still just way too expensive for a normal person to get into, unless this is your only hobby type thing,
Well, it's all you sink your money into.
Yeah.
Right? You can't even afford to do cocaine and Warhammer anymore.
No.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. That's all. That's my rant. It's just I wish Chapter Approved was different than what it sounds like it's gonna be.
When it used to be released in the White Dwarfs for free. Also.
Well, you still pay for
Well, you
White
pay for
Dwarf,
White
but
Dwarf.
Yeah, but wasn't
No,
that
it's
wasn't
just
that a subscription or
Yeah,
something?
you could even do that. But
Yeah, that would
I
be
mean,
better. Even a a $5 subscription or something
for 12 months.
where
Yeah,
you just
'cause I
have
used to collect
access
the
to all the
White Dwarfs.
codexes.
Exactly.
yeah, exactly,
Would be
something like that. Because
probably way better.
yeah, it's $60 for codex just to
Yeah.
even get rules.
One,
and it's
Yeah.
one race.
A book that I'm reading right now that
Yeah.
it took an author 5 or 6 years to write, cost half the price.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Of
To
that
be
codex.
fair though, that book there's no like
There's no images.
The cost of the book
Yeah.
is cheap to produce.
There's no like
where-
so much art and teamwork, and there's a team behind each book, as opposed to.
I'm more saying just the cost of
Well,
the
no,
actual book.
I agree. Like I'm not trying to say that.
The cost of production
Right.
of the actual
Yeah,
book,
yeah.
where it's a hardcover book,
Yeah.
That's a hardcover book.
where it's all images on every page,
Yeah, there's a lot of, like,
color images.
And even the paper that's used in it is
Yeah.
more expensive.
Oh,
Like, I know what you're saying, Eric. I know what you're saying.
it's still too much money.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
I-
yeah, there's no doubt.
Like-
I
about
thought that was the point of this whole
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. But like all I'm saying is
Yeah.
like the amount of hours, if they're trying to justify it like with
Sure,
the amount of hours that are
No,
put in,
they're
like
just like, let's raise it $5 and see if people still buy it.
Yeah.
They're still buying it. Let's raise it $5 and see if people are
Exactly,
still buying
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
right.
They're still
Because
buying
when
it,
you
yeah.
look at comparable things in a bookstore,
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
prices have not changed that
Yeah,
much.
it's true.
And what's crazy too about Games Workshop is it's a small company, like relatively small. Like sure they have all their Games Workshop
Distribution.
stores.
Distribution is large, but like head
the
office.
it's not a big group of people.
Yeah.
So
But-
they're literally pocketing these billions.
Well, I've never actually looked at like
Yeah.
how much does it cost to
it's
make,
true because I mean
like-
it is again it's capitalism. It's their business with what they're
yeah,
making.
and I get it, but I
producer.
just sometimes I just wish like
I think
was
we
a
should
little more friendly.
I think we should make a government law that forces them to sell their product at a reduced rate to make
Yeah.
it more accessible for the masses.
Price controls for
Right, no.
for Warhammer.
Exactly. Yeah.
why stop there?
Why not
Free.
just have price control?
Free everything
All
free.
you need is for Warhammer. Everyone
You
gets
just
an
have to
equal
you just have to trade a banana for it. Like if you grew a potato in your garden, you give one potato and they give you a marine.
for the greater good, guys.
Yeah. So that's my rant, and to sum it all up, I buy their stuff.
We're still suckers for it.
Yeah, like I own a Warlord Titan. Like I buy their stuff. So as much as I bitch and whine, just know that I am still supporting them and I love them as a company. I love the models they make and what they do.
Should practice what you preach.
Don't buy from them anymore.
Yeah.
Anymore.
Let's-
And I won't have Warhammer.
Let's not do Warhammer anymore.
Okay.
Let's do something.
They're gonna lose
completely-
50% of their profit, and they're gonna go out of business.
first quarter.
If I stop buying, they're
Then they'll learn.
Oh yeah. That's all. Anything else anyone wants to say?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Oh, thanks,
good.
John, for coming on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
It was fun. Tyranids is an interesting thing. So thanks
Yeah,
for
they
coming.
are. They're cool because there's so much unknown about them. You can
Yeah.
really get sucked in a hole.
Oh, you sure can.
Holes.
Sucked in. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for listening to our 13th episode. It's been a long time since we've started. If you have any concerns or something we're saying is completely wrong, don't forget to send us an email at lorehammerpodcast@gmail.com. I'm on Twitter, lorehammer40k. We got our Facebook page. If you have any questions about our contest, shoot us a message. I know Mark always loves chatting with the plebes out there.
Plebeians and plebettes.
Yeah.
No plebettes I've chatted to yet.
Not yet. There are a lot fewer plebets.
I would imagine.
That's for sure.
Lots of plebeians though.
Very many. I guess thanks for coming.
See ya.
Peace out.